Wrestling. Will Bianca Belair keep her undefeated streak at WrestleMania intact and win the Women's World Championship? What will happen? Will WrestleMania become YeetaMania when Jey Uso potentially wins a World Heavyweight Championship? And whose side is Paul Heyman really on when we've got CM Punk, who will be coming to ringside with his tribal chief Roman Reigns and someone he owes a favor in one Seth Rollins? WrestleMania 41 is on the horizon, ladies and gentlemen. It is predictions time, and we'll be going through night 1 and then night 2 of the predictions. And of course, joining me as always in the hot seat is one Mr. NX Steve in the house. And well, there's this thing going around about The Rock with John Cena, obviously the Rock and Soul connection. And there's this rumor going around of who's the third man. That seems to be going the consensus around a lot of the wrestling fan base. So I wanted to kind of answer that question for us here today with this podcast that we're going to do for predictions tonight. So we decided to bring in the third man. He's coming back to YouTube once again. It's been a long time since he's been in the hot seat, but let's welcome back Jonesy, everybody. Just good to see you guys back in the hot seat. Thank you very much for joining me. NX Steve, I will come to you first. And of course, that question I always ask, your excitement levels for WrestleMania 41.
It's got to be a 10, surely. It's WrestleMania season. Biggest party of the year, really. So, yeah, definitely a 10 for me.
Absolutely, indeed. Jonesy?
Yeah, I'm a 9. Can't wait. It's going to be a really, really fun event on both nights.
I feel the same. I'm going to go with Jonesy and saying 9. Look, the thing is, it's WrestleMania. It's like it's our Christmas, it's our birthdays, it's Easter, it's Halloween. It's all wrapped up into one. Every big event you roll up, and that is WrestleMania for us. Of course, I'm excited. I do think that the build has been some places not the strongest, but I will tell you what, I think it's going to be all right on the night. I feel WrestleMania 31 vibes, if I dare make a comparison and say that I think that actually it could be one of the stronger manias when you look at the show with the matches we've got there, which leads me then to the question. Well, I'll come to NXT first. Which match are you most looking forward to?
Is it wrong that I'm going to pick out Grande Americano versus Chad Gable? Americano is my new favorite wrestler in the world. I'm gassed. I'm looking forward to it. This guy getting his big moment at WrestleMania. I'm looking forward to it.
El Grande Americano versus Chad Gable. Has Rey Mysterio been taken out?
As far as I know, yeah. That's me just getting it wrong.
Do you know, we'll make those comparisons because I'm very sad Chad Gable was not on the WrestleMania card, but we'll talk about him a little bit later. But Jonesy, what match are you most looking forward to, my friend?
Really looking forward to the Charlotte Flair Tiffany Stratton match. I think that's going to be very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think that those two, they've had a very questionable build, but I tell you what, in ring, I've got a really strong feeling about that match. Look, I'm going to go with the match that I'm most looking forward to. Yes, I suppose Cody versus John Cena should be the right answer because it's 17th world title. But damn, do you know what? I'm a CM Punk fan, and look, night 1, it's the main event. It's triple threat with Rollins and with Roman. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that match. I think that what they've done recently has been quite fun, good character work. So that's the match I'm probably most looking forward to. Match, though, I think could steal the show. We're going to do a new one. What match can steal the show? I'm going to say that the ladies triple threat could be the one. Io, Rhea, and Bianca. Do you have a match you feel could steal the show, NX Steve?
I'd probably have to say the same, to be fair. I think a lot of people are going with that triple threat. It seems to be like you've got 3 really good talents in there, and they've got the potential to deliver a really good match. I mean, look, wouldn't be surprised if they do. Charlotte and Rhea did it 2 years ago. Wouldn't be surprised if Rhea's in it again.
New one there, Jonesy. Who do you reckon could steal the show off this card?
I think Jey and Gunther. I think in ring that potentially Gunther is so credible and stuff like that. So I think that could be quite an eye-opening match as well.
Absolutely. It's one certain to keep our eye out for. And John, I'm really excited to get talking about that one later on in the stream. But we're 4 minutes in, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us so far. Feel free to get your comments in as well. We want to know your thoughts with WrestleMania. Joe in the house. Joe, thank you for joining us. This I'm really excited for. I'm sure he probably means WrestleMania, but hopefully he's talking about the stream as well. Thank you for joining us, Joe. His predictions will be coming out later this week as well. I believe actually later today. So keep an eye on his channel. Eric in the house, he says, I feel like it's do or die moment for Jade. She looks great against Naomi. We're full of great steam ahead, but if not, oh boy, it's not going to be pretty for her. Remember when Andrade Americano also beat Tanahashi, Jay White, Ospreay. He's got a few names there with a torn ACL. We've seen it all. See, El Grande Americano. He's been around. He's traveled around the world. He's beat all those top names. Can he do it at Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania? A couple of interesting points from Eric there. We'll dive into those when we go on to those matches. As you probably understand, we've got 13 matches to get through. We're going to do our best to do it where it's a good sizable listen, I think, for everyone. So let's not waste any time. And we will start things off then with WrestleMania Night 1. So that's the way we're going to kick things off. So we'll quickly go through what the matches will be, and then we will actually then go and talk about our first match. So, and we're doing them in order as well. So LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu for the United States Championship. Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. We've got Jade Cargill versus Naomi. We've got the War Raiders versus the New Day for the World Tag Team Championships. For the World Heavyweight Championship, we've got Gunther versus Jey Uso. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Championship. And of course, that night one main event will be CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. So let's kick things off then in good old fashion with LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu has been an absolute monster since coming to WWE. LA Knight, of course, has regained the United States Championship after losing it at Survivor Series. Of course, he would reclaim the championship in late February from Shinsuke Nakamura. And since then, it's all been crowning that number one contender. Lots of names in the hat, but Jacob Fatu is the one that stood tall and got through everybody to get this opportunity. LA Knight has technically been feuding on and off with the New Bloodline since the end of the year as well. So technically, this has been building for a few months, but I will just kick things off and keep this one quite short and brief by just saying that Jacob Fatu is a monster. He feels unstoppable. I feel there's one of two outcomes for this one, Jones. It's either Jacob Fatu walks away the champion or Solo is going to stop him. How do you see this playing out on Saturday?
I think future WrestleMania main eventer, Jacob Fatu. For me, I think he's going to win. Like, I just don't see any other way. I think the build for him, he's been phenomenally built. He's one of the most exciting things in WWE currently, and this is his first WrestleMania. I think the only way I don't see him winning is a DQ. But for me, I'm going Jacob Fatu. I think this gives LA Knight a great chance to get out and do something different as well, away from that United States title.
Where would you like to see LA Knight go from here? Would you like to see him go towards maybe a world championship scene, or would you like to see him sort of still flirting the mid card, but maybe the upper end mid card of the roster?
I think the upper echelons of the roster would be good. I think it just needs to get back the momentum that he had earlier in the year with his catchphrases and stuff like that. I think that would be a good way to go. But I think in ring, this could be a really good match. Jacob Fatu does some fantastic stuff for a big man.
I feel this could be an underrated match. There's a reason I picked this one to go first, because I feel it's one of those matches where it's like there's two exciting talents here. It's an interesting styles of clash as well. So I'm interested to see what they're going to present together. And Steve, how do you feel about LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu?
I mean, look, I'm pretty much the same as you guys. I'm going to say Jacob Fatu wins this. It's the thing I worry about is that if LA Knight does lose this, I don't think he's of a high enough caliber yet to be in that main event scene. I think there's still some building to do with that. Because of who the champions may be coming out of WrestleMania, I think mostly he's going to be drafted to the other brand that's going to have the IC title, and he's going to fit straight back into that mid-card scene and bring some more value to the IC title.
That's a really good shout, actually. It's almost like, sidestepping, but going for the other title. And LA Knight probably could do with the show move at the moment, since the fact he's not going to be in the top title scene at the moment on SmackDown. However, depending if perhaps maybe a heel wins the WWE Championship at WrestleMania, LA Knight would certainly be a suitable name that could fill in the slot at some point in the year. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with him. But look, I'm going to go with the same consensus. I think Jacob Fatu, it's hard to see him not winning this match. As I said, the only way I see him not doing so is if Solo stops him. That's the only way I can see it happening, which would be a big shocking moment for WrestleMania, because I think everyone's suspected that Jacob Fatu would be the one that would be like, I don't love you, Solo. I'd expected him to turn on Solo. Perhaps maybe it'd be a shock if it was the other way around, but it seems to be a full house that Jacob Fatu will pick up that dub. We'll move on in the meantime. Then to match number 2. And I tell you what, it is Luchador versus Luchador. I know a man who loves the cruiserweights. Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. And we're going to come to our expert on the side here, Nick Steve. You've been following the great career of El Grande Americano. Some suggest it's Chad Gable. You have categorically said that you know for sure it is not Chad Gable. What have been your impressions of seeing El Grande Americano tearing up in WWE?
Has there been a bigger rise in WWE than El Grande Americano? Because I don't think I've seen anyone come in, go straight to the top like this guy, apart from Omos coming in and winning tag team titles in his first ever match at WrestleMania. Dude, this guy is set to skyrocket to stardom. I found out that apparently, do you remember Jericho's list of 1,004 moves? El Grande Americano is responsible for 37% of those.
Well, it's just an impressive feat, isn't it? I mean, El Grande, he's clearly traveled. He's clearly great at what he does. But Rey Mysterio also is a very well-traveled legend of the luchadors as well. Some would say that he's the greatest luchador of all time. He has the GOAT printed on his tights from time to time. Do you think he actually can match up to one El Grande Americano?
I mean, it's hard to say. Ray, obviously, he has the nostalgia of being on TV and people know him. I think this is the ultimate point for El Grande to completely put Rey Mysterio in his place, even retire him. Maybe I'd love to see it.
That'd be quite interesting. Well, we have to get some balance in this, Jonesy. El Grande Americano, for you, is this Chad Gable, or do you believe with the Wikipedia history that NXT has been able to find out here?
It's not Chad Gable. Chad Gable wouldn't be able to get on the WrestleMania card ahead of Sami Zayn, so it's clearly not Chad Gable, I have to say. This guy's coming like a phenom. Forget Ray Phoenix, forget Penta. There's only one luchador. It's El Grande, Mr. Big Coffee, and he's a future deal with Costa, I'm sure, and he's going to make some great money. I'm sure Nick Khan must love him with the merchandise deals that will come later this year, but no, he's not Chad Gable. I have to say that. I agree with NXT, totally.
We've seen them together in the same picture. We've seen El Grande getting arrested when Chad Gable was being interviewed.
Exactly. Even on Raw, when Chad Gable and El Grande had similar looking knuckles, it clearly didn't look like it. It was clearly they're both. It was the right hand instead of left hand, I think.
Clearly training together.
Exactly.
They perhaps they are. I mean, they have some links together, and obviously being a part of American Made as well. But I appreciate your unbiased feelings, gentlemen, about it. And I have to say that I've been swayed that I think El Grande Americano is not Chad Gable. It's a shame Chad Gable is not getting a singles match at WrestleMania, but I'm pretty sure he would be satisfactorily happy that one member of American Made in El Grande Americano has made it to the card. But El Grande Americano, though, hasn't always been the most fairest of luchadors, let's be fair. He's had a metal plate under his mask, using it as a headbutt to get advantages in matches. Do you feel that this is something that could help him or hinder him at WrestleMania NXT? Obviously, the obvious answer is yes, but could it go and backfire this time round at the biggest show of the year?
Look, as far as I know, that is a protective device that protects him from when he does the diving headbutt. As far as I'm aware, there is no cheating. It is purely there to protect El Grande from any sort of major injuries. I don't know where this cheating lark is coming in, man. It's outrageous that you would even slander his name with that.
Fair. Jonesy.
Yeah, El Grande doesn't cheat. He doesn't need to. He's Big Coffee. He's got it all. He doesn't need to cheat. I think that's really slanderous and preposterous. You come out with claims like that. It's outrageous. Send me your lawyer's details. There's a lawsuit coming your way.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to need some good backup on this one. But then I feel, gentlemen, it's time for predictions. So, NXT, we're going to come to you first on this one.
El Grande Americano all the way. I think big things are set for him in the future. I think this is going to be El Grande's year.
Jonesy.
Yeah, I think El Grande is going to win. I think first match at WrestleMania for him. I think he has to sort of get the win here. Rey Mysterio kind of doesn't really have too much more to offer. He's a legend, don't get me wrong. But yeah, El Grande winning here. I think he can go on to bigger things. Down the line, look later this year, though, for a mask match in some capacity. I think that's coming later this year.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the mask versus mask match will come along there. But the thing I would say is that I've said this a million times on these videos. You've heard it before. You always look at the go home show. Who was having the advantage on the go home show usually doesn't win at the PLE. That's usually the standard, and it can work more times than not. And unfortunately for El Grande Americano, he was the one standing tall on Monday Night Raw. And I've got a funny feeling that Rey Mysterio is going to pick up the victory on this show. And with the win, I think we're going to get a tease of if he can get that mask off after the match. And I think that the face will be protected of El Grande Americano. That way, he'll keep his identity secret for another month. But perhaps maybe in St. Louis for Backlash, Jonesy, I could see your prediction of mask versus mask being on the line there.
We'll see.
It's a fair shout.
I have to see if it will or won't happen. But we'll go into the comments in the meantime. Eric Douglas, what a friend. I'll be your attorney, Steve. Thank you very much. I appreciate I appreciate all of that there. He does also say that he feels the only way Jacob loses is if Solo is turning. So there we go. It does feel like that a lot of favors are going for Jacob Fatu to pick up the win.
Solo turns from being a heel to a bigger heel, maybe.
Perhaps. But the thing, everyone's cheering Jacob Fatu, though. So it kind of feels like he will be.
Fatu is a babyface.
He pretty much is a babyface in a book heel manner, but it will change. He will be a face at some point very, very soon.
I think he wins it, and then his babyface turn is against Solo.
What I would say with Fatu is, I think down the line he'll be given a mouthpiece of some sort, and I think that will then elevate him to the next level. I think that's always away from the next level, in my opinion, already.
I can't say I've ever heard him on a promo, to be fair. I mean, I'd like to actually see him be given mic time to see what he's like.
Because you look at Umaga back in the day with Armando Estrada, for example, you need somebody, if they're that much of a Simone Savage, they probably can't really deliver promos, I'd say. Coherent promos, so to speak, really.
I've enjoyed the backstage stuff he's done on SmackDown, but I would say that perhaps maybe a mouthpiece or some sort of manager, basically to keep him under control. That's the thing I feel most of all. Like you say, a Savage like that, they need someone to say, no, not now, not now. This is the wait for the next show kind of thing. So totally see your point of view with that, and certainly could be a unique way that they could book Jacob Fatu after WrestleMania. Felicia in the house, thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. Let us know your predictions as we go through here. We're only 2 matches in. And if you enjoyed the video so far, hit that like button, share it with a friend as well, and feel free to subscribe as well if you're new here. We're going to move on in the meantime, and we are going to talk about Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Did you know, this is one of those did you know moments, this is the first singles match between 2 women at WrestleMania that has not featured a championship since WrestleMania 2000. And of course, that was the infamous The Cat versus Terry Runnels match.
Yeah, I saw the same video, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, we've actually seen the match as well. It's not a good match. I have a funny feeling this one will be better. Look, I think we have to talk about the backstory for this one. Of course, Jade Cargill coming into WWE Women's Tag Team Champion with Bianca Belair, but of course she was attacked before War Games, and of course at that point we didn't know who the assailant was that did the attack. Many point the finger to Bianca Belair. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez at one point were seen as suspects as well, but eventually Jade made a return at Elimination Chamber and completely took out Naomi. It was a vicious, brutal attack at the time. Naomi said that she did it for Bianca. That was her reasoning, because Bianca was being held back, and I suppose you can't argue with that. Bianca went on to win Elimination Chamber, didn't she? And now she's going to go for a women's championship. Naomi could be proven right on this show instantly. However, Naomi's going for a bit more of a twisted side. We've seen a bit more psychotic with these backstage promos, vignettes that we've been seeing from her. It's been quite fun, actually. I really enjoyed Naomi's character development since turning heel, but it's going to be interesting when we get to the match, because Jade has wanted Naomi for quite a number of weeks, has not managed to do so, but it will happen on the biggest show of them all. Jonesy, your thoughts of Jade Cargill versus Naomi?
I think this will be okay. I think it's got quite a good backstory. I think they did quite well with the build. Very big stage for Jade. I think this will be a real test to see whether she's come on from her earlier incarnation, so to speak, in the debut and stuff like that. For me, I just think Jade's winning here, really. I think it's this is really designed to elevate her. Naomi's a pretty good worker as well, so I think this will be okay, but I see Jade winning probably in under 5 minutes or so. I don't see Naomi doing this. I think this is one and done as well.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the idea of a short match, because obviously you have like 4-hour shows. I know WrestleMania total was like 9 hours, but that's with the pre-show and with the after show as well. So 4 hours for the main show. And obviously with more matches on night one, you imagine 1 or 2 of the matches will be shorter. This certainly could be a candidate if they go down the arguably what they call the squash match route. But NX Steve, what's been your thoughts with the build of Jade Cargill versus Naomi?
Low-key, probably one of the best built stories on WrestleMania, aside from the main events. I think like they've got literally they have a back catalogue of story to play through, and it all culminates to this point. And I'm not going to complain about that. So it's a lot of people have complained that half the stuff on WrestleMania this year is very lackluster and there is no build. And this is one of them. I think for me, more importantly, this is Jade's time to prove doubters wrong, because she has been getting a lot of stick about her in-ring work. If you're going to step up and if you're going to make a point, you're at WrestleMania, and this is the time to do it.
Totally. I think both of you have said that. Obviously, this is the big singles match spotlight that Jade Cargill, probably where the spotlight is solely on her for this one. And it'd be interesting to see if she will sink or she'll swim. I'm hoping she'll swim. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see how the match will play out at WrestleMania. But a squash match, obviously, would probably protect her even further if they wanted to go down that avenue that Jonesy potentially suggested. She's had some good matches if you look through her AEW sort of repertoire, but a lot of the matches she's had have always been short. She's had longer matches in WWE, which I think has given more, hopefully, experience, I would say. She's still probably under 100 matches in her career, but at the same time, this is easily the biggest match of her career. This is the spotlight, Jonesy.
Yeah, it is. When you look at the Mania card this year, with the amount of people didn't get on it, I think it's a huge match for her. A huge opportunity, really, to turn a corner. I think she's done some great work in AEW. I'm really hoping it connects this time. I think her tutelage under Bianca Belair probably is going to pay off now, which is great. Bianca Belair is probably one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, I'd say. So I'm just hoping it'll be a really good match. I think keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. I'm just slightly worried if they do try and do some complex stuff that Jade may lose sort of track of what they're doing in the ring a little bit based on what I've seen in other matches. Not to be unfair, really.
No, of course. And the thing is, you've more or less said that you've gone for Jade there to pick up the victory. So I'm just going to ask one counter question before I move on to NXT for his prediction. Just about Naomi, obviously, with the change of the character that she's had, would a loss at WrestleMania harm her here?
Yeah.
No.
Probably,
Oh,
no, sorry. Oh, no, sorry. After you.
No, go on, man. If you're talking to me.
No, so all I was going to say is I don't think a loss will harm her. Really, she's not really chasing anything at the moment. I'd say she's kind of on the doldrums of the women's division, so to speak. She's not really chasing anything. So to me, Jade's the one that really they're going to get behind for the monetary and the merchandise that may happen late this year, probably for me. I don't think it harms Naomi with a loss.
No worries. I will then move on the same question to NXT.
Yeah, I mean, for me, after WrestleMania, Jay's going to slot in somewhere into the mid card, I would presume. I don't think she's quite ready for the main event. Whereas with Naomi, if she loses, Naomi can go straight into the main event as a heel. There's going to be no harm in that whatsoever. I think that at the minute, there is a very lackluster of big name heels in the women's division. I think Charlotte Flair is probably the only one at the minute. But again, depends on what they do with Bianca. If Bianca turns full heel, may not be the wisest thing to do. But it's a case of waiting to see. Naomi has never suffered from losing. So, yeah, I expect Jade to win this as well, and I expect Naomi will be fine.
Yeah, Naomi probably will be fine either way. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, gentlemen. I had the shock prediction before the cards were announced of which night was on which, that Naomi was going to win this match. But I'm now going to say Jade Cargill is going to win this match. And here's my reason why. My initial reason why was because I thought Bianca was going to have her match before this match. And if Bianca would win the championship, Bianca would then find out that Naomi, what she said was right. And then she would actually side with Naomi to help her beat Jade Cargill to then book Jade versus Bianca later in the year. However, you can still do this, but it's being done in a reverse different order. So for that reason, right now, Jade Cargill has to look strong. And if she's going to go for a championship, she needs to be winning this match. So I think that Jade will pick up the win here. I agree with you, gentlemen, that Naomi is not going to be harmed in defeat. But I actually think, if anything, her character is going to develop further. And I will actually say I'm loving heel Naomi so far. I think there's certainly there's depth and there's layers you can go with this moving forward, to the point that even if Bianca does turn heel later down the line, that Naomi still doesn't have to be aligned with her and can just go off in a psychotic different direction, which could be quite cool to see. But I will go for Jade Cargill also. So it's a full house from us here, with Jade picking up the victory. Gentlemen, we're going to go into the comment section because we've got a few of them that have come flying in for us now. Joe is officially joined us live now. Joe, thank you for joining us. Wesley has done as well. Thank you for joining us. Wesley is not a fan of Jade Cargill. He's made that known on quite a few streams before. But we've got Eric here saying that Jade has to win. Naomi will be fine with the loss. Felicia says, I'm going with Jade Cargill. It's her first ever WrestleMania singles match. I think was missing there, but singles match indeed. Also, Eric says that Liv is a big name heel, but she's currently on Raw. But more about that later on. But she can appear on SmackDown, I suppose, right now with the current Women's Tag Team Championships. But we'll move on in the meantime, gentlemen. We're going to go on to match number 4. This match apparently is going to be a war. It's the War Raiders versus the New Day for the World Tag Team Championships. Basically, the New Day finally got themselves a tag team title opportunity a couple of weeks ago. The match ended in DQ with the New Day picking up the victory, and they tried to take out the I've got Viking Raiders here, by the way, instead of War Raiders. Apologies for that. Yeah, they actually. They tried to injure the boys, didn't they? Eric and Ivar. They've been out on the shelf with bad injuries in the past, but it looks like that it could be a scenario that, as I said, this will be war come WrestleMania. And Steve, I'll come to you first on this one. War Raiders versus New Day. Your thoughts and feelings that this is on the card?
Look, I'm never against seeing the New Day on there. I think that they've been consistently on TV every week. The problem is that the other tag division's been doing better, and I think that it just seems a bit weird that this one's got on there. Maybe it's a case of that they've put this on there to elevate it. The SmackDown tag team division already is elevated, and it's kind of like, right, well, we need to get the Raw ones up to the same level. Let's put them on WrestleMania. The War Raiders, I think since they've won that, I think I've barely seen them on TV, to be fair. So I don't know if this is a case of more about getting the New Day over, which don't really need to get the New Day over. It's the New Day. I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one, like just having it on WrestleMania and all. But look, it's a tag team match at WrestleMania. I'm not going to complain. This should be highly entertaining.
Hopefully, they have got great chemistry in the past. The Viking Rules match they had a couple of years ago was a lot of fun on SmackDown. Jonesy, your thoughts of War Raiders versus New Day?
Yeah, it should be a really solid match. I've really enjoyed New Day's work, particularly since December when they got rid of Big E. I've really enjoyed sort of the rechanging of the character, so to speak. The turn from babyface to heel has been really fun. Yeah, I think this will be a really solid match. I think if they're given time, they could do some fantastic work. Kofi Kingston's a really good worker, and I think anything that he's will put his hands to get WrestleMania will be good to see.
Yeah, it's particularly Kofi. Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. I think this is a match that, I'll be honest, I don't care so much about, if I'm going to be brutally honest, but at the same time, I'm happy it's on the card. First off, War Raiders never competed at a WrestleMania. You work all your career, lads. You've had all them injuries, the moments we've been told you'll never wrestle again, and then you finally made it to the big dance. I think that in itself is awesome to see. The New Day, I think, need this because I agree with Jonesy. That initial moment when they turned heel was phenomenal. They've done great work backstage and stuff. I've enjoyed that, but I do feel that they took a while to get to the tag team championships. They've almost been a bit directionless in places on the road to WrestleMania. I'm glad they found themselves here at last, and I think they should win those tag team championships. This is the right placement in me to see new tag team champions. The New Day, top of the division once again. It's been like 3 to 4 years since they've been there. If they're going to turn heel, that actually supports the decision for them to do so, the fact they're back at the top of the mountain. And Steve, would you give a prediction? War Raiders versus New Day? Who's your money on?
I'm going New Day. I think that it's about elevating the New Day and making them top heels in that tag team division. Just to add as well, I was just checking as well while you guys were talking. War Raiders have been on TV 4 times this year. They've had 4 matches. And I think that's the problem with this build, is that for tag team champions, they've had 4 matches on TV this year.
Certainly not a lot. Jonesy, your final prediction for War Raiders versus New Day?
I think the New Day to win. I think they'll get the win cheaply as well to follow up with their heelish recent tactics, so to speak. But yeah, New Day will win, I think. I can't see like the War Raiders retain.
No, I can't. So, yeah, we've gone full house for the New Day there. Let's see what everyone is seeing. Felicia here saying that I'm going for the War Raiders. So we've got a Raiders vote there, which is quite cool to see. We have got Joe. Let's give quite a number of predictions. Joe, thank you very much. I appreciate your work. It's gone for Jey to win the championship. It's gone for Viking Raiders, War Raiders to retain, LA Knight as well to retain, which we've spoken about already.
Yeah.
Charlotte, Jey Cargill, Rey Mysterio, and Punk to win the triple threat. So give us a number of predictions there, which is great to see. I like this comment from RB, by the way. This has to be match number 2. Do you know what? New Day War Raiders screams match after the opener. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends what the opening match is, to be fair. Like, this is the problem we always have with match cards, is that if it's not done very well, the second match can always suffer. So depending on what the original opening match is going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if this opens WrestleMania.
No, the opening match is going to be Jey and Gunther. I'm sure I read that this week somewhere. I think that's going to start the show. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's going to start the show.
I wouldn't be surprised if that one kicked things off. Eric, I love the New Day, he says, but this screams go and get your snacks alcohol match. I hope it won't be, but kind of can see where he's coming from. Wesley says Raw is remaining War. So I think he's going for the War Raiders to pick up that dub as well. And Joe, given a couple more predictions for you, has gone for Cena, Liv and Raquel, and Braun Breaker to retain. Thank you, Joe, for sharing all your predictions with us there. You get to now sit back, chill, and listen to us just talk away and give our ones to you. And as we do that, we've gone through 4 matches. Let's go for one of those big title matches. Well, that one that Jonesy said, by the way, thought was going to kick off WrestleMania that he read this week. Gunther versus Jey Uso. Thank you everyone that's joining the stream, by the way. More numbers are kicking in now, so thank you all for joining us. You're coming at the right time. The World Heavyweight Championship match, the Royal Rumble winner, that is Jey Uso. Will WrestleMania become a YeetaMania? That's the big question, because Jey Uso has not been able to beat Gunther on 3 separate occasions, once in the Intercontinental Championship, another in King of the Ring, and the last was the World Heavyweight Championship match at Saturday night's main event in January. Strange decision, it seemed, at the time, when Jey then would go to win the Royal Rumble the following week, and then this match was built. Bit of a shame, because the first month for this was a bit of rinse and repeat. Gunther said he's going to make Jey Uso's life hell, just put him in a sleeper hold for a long time. That just seemed to be what was going on for about 5 to 6 weeks of the build. However, things turned up a gear or two in the last couple of weeks, and it all started with one Jimmy Uso getting involved. The slap heard around the world backstage when Jimmy Uso was involved with Gunther, of course, and telling Jey to get his head in the game, get back to being main event Jey. We got a match then with Gunther versus Jimmy the following week at the O2 in London, and Jimmy was pretty much written off TV, was turned into an absolute bloody mess by Gunther. In fact, I've not seen Gunther so red actually before. Goodness, it was it's usually other people's chests that are red, but Gunther was covered in Jimmy's blood. Of course, this led to a moment where Jey Uso did his famous Macaulay Culkin Home Alone line by saying, "I'm not afraid anymore," because he has nothing to lose after seeing what happened to Jimmy. He's going to get revenge on Gunther at WrestleMania. And these two, of course, have pretty much had their final word said on Monday Night Raw. Gunther, you could see, was a bit shaken, but he did say that he was going to beat Jey Uso and was going to call his mum and tell her how happy he was and how proud of himself he was that he beat down Jey Uso at WrestleMania. And of course, Jey Uso has said he's going to beat Gunther. We've heard it once, we've heard it twice, but he did say yeet one more time. And Nick, Steve, this is always a hot topic, and this is where we'll probably start a little bit longer of matches on night one. Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble. I know you wasn't a big fan of the start of this build. It did turn around for you, but ultimately, where do you stand going into WrestleMania? Are you yeet or no yeet on this one?
I mean, they've done enough to get me to be yeet, which is, I think, the important thing. Look, I was okay with Jey winning the Rumble. I just find it very hard to believe that he was going to beat Gunther, despite the fact he'd already lost 3 times previously, challenging for that belt. And we got there in the end. The fact it was like 2 weeks before WrestleMania, we got to the point where I now believe that Jey has a chance of beating Gunther. In fact, I'd say I want Jey to beat Gunther, and you know what? I'm going to predict it. Jey is going to beat Gunther. It just seems like the right time if they're ever going to do it. My problem is I realize this now after the whole Gunther beating Jimmy thing up. This is exactly the same build that Jey had when he faced Roman in Hell in a Cell. Roman beat the hell out of Jimmy, forced Jey to quit, and it's the same story, hashtag and repeat. And I don't want it to be a thing where this is the only thing that can get Jey Uso over is by beating the hell out of Jimmy up. Otherwise, I said, the potential going forward after WrestleMania, there are loads of people that Jey can face in terms of story-wise. We've said it before, Sami Zayn, not Kevin Owens now, but Drew McIntyre. There is a plethora of people that he could face. I just don't want it to be a case of that every time we need to get Jey over, we have to beat Jimmy up in the process.
Absolutely. Although it does seem to bring out some of Jey's best work. Usually Jey in despair is when we start to see the best of Jey Uso. The fact he's got very good facials in the moment where he's got to make a decision or is a little bit down or a little bit in the upset department. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But Jonesy, we've spoke a bit off of air as well on our messages before. You wasn't so supportive of the idea of Jey winning the Royal Rumble at first. I don't think you were such a big fan of the build at the start either. Has it turned around as we've gone through those last couple of weeks, or do you still feel it's a bit no yeet for you?
I think for me, it really isn't for people my age. That's the way I kind of look at it. It's for, if you're a kid, then you can see why. It's the Ultimate Warrior. It's that kind of feel-good factor for kids, if that makes sense, based on a quote. What I would say is if this was the Attitude Era, Road Dogg, just because he had a great catchphrase, wouldn't be in a world title picture winning the Royal Rumble. That's kind of the way it is. But I think they've done a great job of embracing the merchandise sales, and the crowd, clearly this guy is over. I've just got slight concerns about his WrestleMania match last year, where I don't know really in ring whether he can really do it, if that makes sense. But I think he's the right call. I think he's going to win. I don't think he's won the Royal Rumble not to win the world title here. And I think they're going to cash in on that momentum and that popularity now. But for me, he's not really my favorite. He's not really my cup of tea, but I think he's going to win here. He's your new world champion for sure. I think he's going to beat Gunther. Gunther already lost at WrestleMania last year to Sami Zayn. I think another loss at WrestleMania at this point isn't really going to do him any harm. His reign's been really good and credible for a long time.
Gunther is that guy that seems to just lose at WrestleMania. He does well all year round. It comes to WrestleMania, and that's when he will lose if he does. Sami Zayn last year, and if you guys are right, it'll be Jey Uso this year. Of course, he did win a couple of years ago against Drew and Sheamus. I've not forgotten. But at the same time, I'm gonna agree with a number of the comments here. Like for me, I've not been so supportive of the build for a number of weeks, as I said at the start. I was supportive of Jey winning the Rumble purely because I never believed he was going to main event WrestleMania. I know that they said it on the announcement of the Royal Rumble, which, let's be fair, WWE just say championship match going forward. Did you know only 58% of Royal Rumble winners have main evented WrestleMania? Interesting stat that we've had that I found out a couple of weeks ago. So, I mean, it's a very commonplace. I mean, you look at the likes of Alberto Del Rio winning in 2011, opened the show. Sheamus 2012 opened the show. Just a couple of examples. And Jey Uso versus Gunther, I agree with you. I think it's going to open the show because what better way to start in Vegas than to have a whole 70,000 people, 60,000, whatever it is, yeeting after Jey Uso wins the World Heavyweight Championship. It does feel like something that will happen, NXT.
There is a asterisk next to opening matches at WrestleMania. Famously, Bobby Lashley beat Drew in an opening match at WrestleMania when Drew was the hot favorite to win the title. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gunther retains because, look, you get the disappointment out of the way at the start of the night. The rest of the night goes fantastically. So asterisk it and say, look, Jey could lose, but look, I'm pretty sure Jey's going to win this.
Yeah, it feels. I just can't see WWE missing a viral opportunity with all them yeets because it's like a rock concert. That's the one thing that's really good. The entrance as well. There's a catchphrase, there's t-shirts, but there's also that entrance. It's so special, and it's catching lightning in the bottle. And I think that WWE would be foolish to not have this on a big WrestleMania stage. And the thing is, the Jey Uso story, you mentioned all the way back, by the way, there with Jimmy Uso with Roman back in 2020. That's where this Jey Uso started from, which is mad to think. They've evolutionized this character over the last 4 to 5 years, obviously going through the bloodline, the ups and downs, the right-hand man, obviously main event, Jey, of course, winning Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, Sami Zayn stuff as well, main eventing with the Tag Team Championships of WrestleMania 39, breaking away as the first guy to pin Roman in about 3.5, 4 years, what it was at the time. The quiz question used to be Baron Corbin, Jonesy. I remember you used to have that one there for us, you know, and there was those moments where Jey then would main event shows, SummerSlam against Roman. That wasn't the best either, along with the Jimmy match at WrestleMania, but there are some moments where Jey's had good matches. The WrestleMania one with the tag team match with Sami and Kay was a 5-star one. I'm hoping we're going to get a better Jey WrestleMania match. I agree. I have my reservations in ring when the bell rings, but everything else presentation-wise, it's the right move here for Jey to at least have a shot at being a world champion.
I think they could do more with him as well.
Gunther will carry him.
Yeah, I think they could do more. I think Jey winning means, as Steve said earlier, they can do a lot more. He's got some more feuds they can do. I think Gunther really is running out of opponents. Jey creates a whole brand new array of opponents and matches they can do. That I'm just hoping that this lift that he gets elevates him for the rest of the year. I hope he's not going to be a champion, and then by SummerSlam he's back to being kind of a mid-carder. That's what I really hope. He just doesn't burn out once his catchphrase loses momentum as such.
Absolutely. I do think obviously the catchphrase will lose momentum eventually, but that's why I think as well this is the time to do it. Strike when the iron's hot. There's so many times we've seen people when they don't get that opportunity to be a champion when they should be. We can throw in a whole host of names over the years. Dolph Ziggler's the one that comes to my mind right now, but like, you know, there's so many of them that could have been the top guy and they just never gave them that chance.
I think what they have to do as well is, look, Vince is very famous for giving the World Heavyweight title to not top guys. We've seen it famously. Jack Swagger won the World Heavyweight Championship. And I think this is the thing that Triple H needs to get out of doing as well. Jey, if he wins, he's going to be World Heavyweight Champion. And I don't want it to be the same where the World Heavyweight title is for people that aren't established big stars. I want Jey Uso, like if Jey Uso is going to be a multi-time world champion, I want at some point for him to win that WWE Championship and not tarnish the world title the same as how Vince used to tarnish the World Heavyweight Championship.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that comment indeed. Last thing I'm just going to say before we go into some comments. We mentioned about Gunther. I think he's off to SmackDown in the draft after WrestleMania. I think that will be a move that's, I want to say, almost nailed on, it feels at this point, because I agree with you. He's running out of people on Raw to face at the moment. Unless they do a Seth or a CM Punk feud, there's nowhere else for him to go. Felicia says going for Jey Uso. It's time for him to win. Jonesy, I'll come back to you. It felt like you had something to share there.
I was just going to say, I agree with what you said. I think he's off to SmackDown. I agree with that. Gunther, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I want to get your comments and your thoughts in there as well, and then we can come to the comments now. Wesley says YeetaMania. I think he's feeling it there. Eric says that it feels like now or never to give Jey the belts. So I guess hopefully it will be now then in Eric's mind. Felicia says YeetaMania as well. I know we've got people giving love to each other in the chat, all talking with each other, which is great to see. Thank you very much. And of course, that helps the algorithm as well. So feel free to keep chatting away. That's always good to see. Wesley is hyped for WrestleMania, which is good to see. Too Sweet Carl from On the Mark Wrestling Podcast is in the house, and I'll tell you what, his predictions for WrestleMania will be going live tonight as well. 4 letters, 1 word, yeet. What up, gents? Good to see. I love it. He says, yeah, exactly. That's what's starting night 1 as well. The odds are looking good for Jey Uso as well, minus 600 odds, so that's looking quite good for it as well. We've got Tanya in the house that says hello. How are you doing, Tanya? Thank you for joining us. It's good to see you. And as well, Sid's in the house as well. He says he'll be having a toilet break during some of the matches we've already discussed, which is probably why we've not heard from him until now. But yes, it's good to see. And of course, yes, it does help that chat rate. So feel free to keep the comments flying in, ladies and gents. We really do appreciate it. But in the meantime, from one big championship match to another. Oh, this is going to be interesting to talk about. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair for the WWE Women's Championship match. Forget about WrestleMania records. There's only one record we'll be talking about. 0-3. Was it too harsh, Jonesy, from Tiffany on SmackDown?
Yeah, it was a bit harsh. I think, let's be fair, a lot of this has obviously been constrated and been organised, and they were told they were able to say a certain amount of shoot comments, but there was a line too far. I think I've really kind of enjoyed the shoot style aspect of this feud. It's been quite refreshing. I like the fact that you don't know what's real and what's not real. I think it's interesting. But yeah, it's been interesting. It's been quite refreshing to see that on WWE TV, I'd say.
Absolutely. And it's Steve, thoughts of Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair build. Obviously, Charlotte winning the Royal Rumble, attacking Tiffany a number of times. They had the backstage promo face to face. Obviously, Charlotte seems to get the better of that one, eating up Tiffany there. We've mentioned about the fallout in front of the crowd with the marriage comment, and Kaiser being in the DMs. We shouldn't forget that as well. And it's been an attack in the parking lot as well. And of course, on the back and SmackDown this past week after Tiffany put away Roxanne Perez. What's been your thoughts of the build?
Don't care. Honestly, mate, don't care. You putting Charlotte Flair in a world title match at WrestleMania, I honestly couldn't care about less. I mean, like, I felt the exact same way about Rhea and Charlotte 2 years ago, so I could be very wrong after the match takes place, but it's inevitable. It's inevitable seeing Charlotte Flair in this position, and I don't care for it. I think the build has been bad. I think that the fact that they've had to use things like Charlotte's marriage and her divorce as a as a piece of arsenal for Tiffany to use back at her. And like I said to you, we said about after the promo, I said I don't know who's meant to be the heel in this scenario because they're both coming off heelish. And what's the point? One of them's supposed to be a babyface. I haven't personally enjoyed the build. I will be glad when this match is over, although I do expect them to have a killer match. I expect them to be professional, put on a almost 5-star quality match, because those two have got it in the locker to do it. I've not cared about the build, if I'm honest, mate.
It's interesting because, like, a number of years ago, Tiffany Stratton said her dream match would be Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. And Charlotte Flair, I think famously, I want to say it was the same show. I want to say Fastlane. I could be wrong. People tell me if I'm wrong. Fastlane press conference, the same one where Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes were tag team champions and were a bit drunk, where that I think Yeet got over a bit more. And Charlotte said that Tiffany was started. Yeah, and Charlotte called out Tiffany as like being a future star. And that's sort of, you thought yourself there, oh, that's something in the making. They'll be great when they work together, as they're really both up for it. But then when they both have it, my goodness, there's been moments where Tiffany was eaten alive backstage, and I didn't like that first one because it felt like Tiffany wasn't quite ready for what was coming her way and didn't really have an answer for it. It was good she had an answer the second time round, but I do feel, it was a bit far. But however, one thing I will say, it was a lot more interesting than the first month of this, where it was the same thing as Gunther Jey, which was beat down after a match. I was much more fascinated of hearing them have these backwards and forwards. As Jones said, you didn't know what was real and what was not, and I had that kind of thing of like, do you know what? There's something to talk about here. Whether it was good or bad, that's indifferent. But I had a reason to talk about this match, and there was going into WrestleMania. I'm interested in knowing how it's going to play out. So they've done something right, NXT.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. You're right. They've done the right thing in getting eyes on the prize, essentially. Do you know what I think more than anything is this feels like Vince McMahon booking, because this feels like stuff Vince would do. And I think that's my biggest problem with it, is like we're past that. We're on to bigger and better things, and we shouldn't be resorting to playground bullying. Do you know what I mean? And like, it's just one of them things, really. I don't know. Like I said, hopefully just get past WrestleMania and it will all work itself out.
Certainly indeed. Jones, is there anything you'd like to add before we start going into some predictions?
I think with this one, what I would say is, no matter, even if there is a legitimate heat between them both, I think they'll be professional on the night. Still think it'll be a very good match. If you look back at Matt Hardy, Edge, and Lita, when Matt Hardy and Edge had that match at SummerSlam, it was still a good match. So I think it's similar. I'm just interested to see what Charlotte does if she gets rattled, because she does seem to have lost her way a bit since she's come back. I've got to be honest. They brought her back as a babyface at the Rumble, winning that. And on promo, she has had some questionable lines, so to speak. I don't know sort of how she'll cope really with loads of people booing her. I don't know whether that will make her lose a game plan, so to speak. But no, I think this should be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it's a really good point you make about Charlotte as well since the return, because things haven't. We don't know the person behind, obviously, Ashley. We don't know the real person, and perhaps shouldn't really use a real name in it, because we're watching a character on TV, but she does seem rattled at times with the crowd reactions. And
it's quite negative, isn't it, all the time? It must be really hard.
It is. It must be difficult. And
when you're trading insults on Twitter or X, for example, it really sort of shows the boundaries gone, so to speak. You know what I mean? It must be really tough.
Must be really tough. And the fact is as well, like, when you go in and week out and you're in the public eye, it's difficult to get away from as well. So I do see it from all the sides and different points of view. So sometimes you have that question with so much has gone on. Was it the right time to come back? I guess time will tell, but we do believe we're going to have a great match here at WrestleMania when these two, actually, the bell does ring. So Jones, you said this is the match you're probably most looking forward to right now. So I'm going to come to you first for that prediction.
Oh, I'm really, really stuck in the middle all day. I've been kind of thinking about it. What I think my heart says that Tiffany Stratton should win. She needs to lift more than Charlotte. Charlotte's obviously racing to get these world titles, but I can't see them going against Charlotte, really, unfortunately. I think Charlotte is going to win. And I think this will elevate it to being even bigger. She's the biggest heel in WWE at the moment for me. I think arguably the biggest heel. And I think this will elevate her further up the chain, so to speak.
Absolutely. NXT prediction time.
Yeah, I think what they have to worry about is if Charlotte does win this, that she will get go-away heat, because it already currently feels like that. And I think if you put this title on her, she's very close to even more go-away heat. I mean, look, I'm the same as Jonesy. I want Tiffany Stratton to win this. It would do bits for Tiffany to win this. But Charlotte's back, and it's WrestleMania. Charlotte to win for me.
Can I?
Yeah, please.
Oh, sorry to trouble. I was just going to ask, do we see potentially Becky Lynch coming back at the end of this match in some capacity?
No.
Sorry to throw out a prediction.
No, it's an interesting question to throw out there, because obviously she's meant to have made a comment on improv. I have seen the clip online where she's like, I don't wrestle anymore. But you can easily say that knowing that's going to get around, and then you turn up, because then it's more of a shock, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it? You throw people one direction, throw them off the scent. So it's something that possibly could happen. But I would say if Becky was to return at this point, I'd go Raw after Mania. Just they're really trying to build it this year. Is the Raw after Mania, anything can happen. I'd be shocked if there's not one big twist on the Raw after Mania this year.
Yeah, fine. Sorry
Jonesy trying to bring over that New Japan influence over to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Well, WrestleMania used to have it. It's just disappeared over the last few years, but we'll have to wait and see.
The last time it happened, Hulk Hogan came out and beat Yokozuna, so we don't want to do that no more.
Yeah. WrestleMania 9. That's a great documentary, by the way. If anyone hasn't seen it in the comments.
Need to see it.
You do?
But, it's on the to-do list. We'll get there eventually. But yeah, absolutely. Well, to give my take, another prediction quickly. Guys, Charlotte Flair's won 14 world championships. She's 2 off matching her dad. it does feel like she will win those titles, and probably the sooner the better, because in that way, then we haven't got to see her in all the championship matches anymore. However, I am going to go out on a limb and go different from the lads. I am going to say that Tiffany is going to win here. My pure reasoning is that she becomes the star if she wins. If she loses, she falls right down the pecking order. And I feel they've done a great job in building her up over since coming to the main SmackDown in general. I think she's done well. Unless she's moving over to Raw, because obviously Ludwig Kaiser's currently on Raw. I can see her winning. I'm going to go for her to retain the championship, because I'm crowning a few new champions on this show. Some need to retain. So I'm going to go for Tiffany, and I think she needs it more.
I think she's the one that everyone's least expecting to retain out of the whole WrestleMania card. I think Tiffany is generally the least expected.
Put it this way. I think Tiffany should win here, even if Charlotte ultimately wins the gold. Charlotte can win the gold at Backlash, because then when all the people that are watching WrestleMania that don't usually watch wrestling, they see a new star in Tiffany Stratton being made. The next month, the ones that stick around past that, we can all suffer then and have Charlotte as the champion. So that's just how I see it at this particular time. But we'll have to see what will go down. Let's go into the comments, because we do have some that have come flying in regards to this match. Just have to find my point here of where they are. But I can tell you that, first off, someone that is good. I mean, that's not NXT Steve. Like it's not, it's not Chad Gable with Americano. This is not NXT Steve that's wrote here. El Grande Americano, elimination number 1.
Auto check is a son of a gun for me, because he put L number 1 and it's changed it to elimination number 1. Does that work? No, the cat's out of the bag. That one is me.
There you go. There you go. Felicia says, I'm going Tiffany Stratton. Eric says, this was a dream feud, but it's not hit for me. There, RB saying Tiffany should win. Charlotte seems to have go away heat with the fans. Roy is in the house. Roy, thank you for joining us at the perfect time. So Charlotte Flair will win. Charlotte will be the heel. Tiffany will be the babyface. Seems to be that way in the build. Let's see what we have. Paul with a question, because we didn't answer this one. What night do you think will be better at WrestleMania? Oh, that's interesting. Jonesy.
I'm going to go night 2. I think night 2's got more that kind of interests me, to be honest.
NXT Steve.
I'm gonna say night 1 because of the end of the main event. I think the finish of the end of the main event, I think is. Oh, I don't know. Actually, I'm gonna say night 1 just because you got Gunther as well on night 1.
I'm really torn. I think they've really balanced them out quite well this year, but I do think when you look at night 2, obviously that's when you have the Bianca Rhea, triple threat, Cena, Cody. And I think that street fight's going to be a sleeper for WrestleMania. I think it's going to be a lot better than most people think. So I'm going to join Jonesy with night 2 at the moment. But night 1's usually hit quite hard. So we'll have to see what will go down.
The big question is will they both be as good as each other, or which is one of them going to be lackluster compared to the other? Because that's the problem we've had with these 2 night manias. One night has always been better than the other. One night's been really good. One night's been okay. So that's the thing they've got to work out.
That's what I have to figure out this year. Last year, night 1 was okay, and night 2 was freaking amazing. So let's see what happens. But sometimes a main event can make a show for you. So let's talk about the night 1 main event, shall we? Let's talk about Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. And of course, this one kicked off at the Royal Rumble. Of course, Seth and Roman were eliminated simultaneously with CM Punk. And of course, from there onwards, Seth kind of lost his cool, took out Roman Reigns with a curb stomp on the floor, attacking CM Punk as well. Punk and Rollins have had a feud going on even longer since Punk came back to WWE. Of course, they had their match on the debut of Netflix, which of course CM Punk won. Seth would win the rematch though in Madison Square Garden in the steel cage match, and that was actually due to the return of Roman Reigns. Roman actually pulled Seth out of the cage, which was an interesting way to finish the show, but Roman would look standing tall and standing strong. Of course, as this would develop further, this would divulge into a triple threat match, and of course the contract was put in front of CM Punk, and CM Punk said he would get what he wants. Of course, there's been this mysterious favor he's had as well since, of course, aligning with Roman Reigns at War Games at Survivor Series last year. Of course, something that Paul Heyman had set up, not Roman Reigns. CM Punk, his favor actually wasn't put in the contract, although they thought they gave him what he wanted. that WrestleMania Night 1 main event. He is going to be a WrestleMania main eventer, ladies and gentlemen, and it's glorious to see as a big CM Punk fan. However, my bias aside, this has led to Seth being really upset. Roman was laughing at it, but of course, Roman was only laughing for 1 week. CM Punk will reveal the favor the following week on SmackDown, and the fact was that Paul Heyman would be going to ringside with him, a throwback to 2013, where Heyman said he would be alongside CM Punk when CM Punk would come down his entrance at WrestleMania in a main event. Of course, I don't think they expect it to be 12 years later, but I digress. Seth Rollins, though, seems to have got a master plan that's kicked in since, and to be fair, his character work has been on another level since that contract was signed. Roman Reigns has kind of lost his shit, let's be fair. I'm going to throw an S word in there because Roman felt really cool until we lost Paul Heyman. Now not spoken to him for a couple of weeks, and now got a shield chair in his back from Seth at the end of Raw. And Steve, your thoughts on this build?
I mean, it's been this way, it's been that way, it's been left, it's been right. I think this has been highly entertaining. This is like on the verge of a Cody Roman storyline that this has been going on for so long now, this whole Seth CM Punk thing. I genuinely cannot wait for this. I think this has, like you said, the Street Fighter has potential to be match of the weekend. I think this also has potential to be match of the weekend. I think this is going to be an absolute barn burner. I cannot wait for this main event. Like you said, Punk's finally getting his main event. Seth is low-key the one to watch, though, because he is like that every week. They've done a promo, especially the one where Heyman turned around and said, I can't do it. I'm going to have to go with Punk to the ring. Seth's just standing there laughing at him, and that was so important. It was such a big thing. So I genuinely cannot wait for this one.
I think this should be really, really good. I think this will be really, really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing sort of what they do, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is as well, like it's a really good point about the idea as well with Punk and his promo work, because he was saying to him, you see now, you see what I see. It's just taking you a bit later, knowing now that Punk is the problem. But he said it's too late now, like you're the problem as well. And he's really played on Paul Heyman as well, Seth Rollins, in this lineup, because CM Punk had the favor, he's called it. He's told Roman Reigns, Seth, that Paul Heyman's made the choice. He doesn't have to go through with this favor. He's made the choice to. So he has actually betrayed you by doing so. And I've got a favor of my own to be cashed in from Paul Heyman, because he could have put Paul Heyman on the shelf and in the hospital with a curb stomp and chose not to. Very interesting stuff with Seth. The character work is very interesting. And the dynamic with Seth and Heyman is quite fun as well to watch on WTV, because there is that argument, Jonesy, that Heyman is the wise man to Roman Reigns. He's the best friend to CM Punk. But why is Paul Heyman going to lie at the end of WrestleMania? Because I just have a funny feeling that Paul Heyman is the key to this main event here.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's been so obvious and apparent. The teaser with Seth, I was really up for Heyman aligning with Seth, but really it's just too obvious at this point now. I think that's kind of really gone for me. But Heyman is the ultimate deciding factor. And it'd just be really interesting to see what they do and what really is going to create the most controversy, if that makes sense. Like, so clearly starts with CM Punk. He's teased, obviously, to go Rollins. Or he hasn't really teased, but there's been signs of that on most recent WWE. It's just whatever they're going to do, really, to create the most controversy. I think if he just goes to Seth now, I wish that they didn't hint that all the way through. I think it's just so obvious at this point. Too obvious, almost.
Seems to be. But I'll ask one more question to Jonesy before I throw it to NXT, Steve, because there was an interesting sentence that Seth said on Raw this past week, and I thought it would be criminal to not bring it up here. He said that him winning this triple threat match is vitally important. It is the most important triple threat match in WrestleMania history. It's almost, it felt to me, it reminded me of Austin Rock in X7, of like, I have to beat you no matter what kind of vibe. It had that impression of that promo. But he also said another line that said, me winning, Roman winning is bad because the fact he's a part-timer and it's not, he's going to kill the industry. CM Punk being who he is, that's going to kill the industry. But him winning is best for business. Interesting 3 words, because the last person that said best for business early this year was John Cena.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe the third man, but yeah, I think stuff like that, you got to be really clever. Would they do the alternative? This is totally Vince Russo now. I told you I'm just sort of thinking outside the box. Could it be that Heyman's with none of the 3 and his true real suitor comes out after the match? That's something they could do and have an impact in the main event, so to speak, as well.
That would be quite an interesting way to go along. I mean, certainly the fact if he just walked away and left them all to it and then actually had someone else would be quite fascinating. NXT, Steve, how do you see this with the, fighting over Paul Heyman?
I mean, I don't know. I'm more intrigued now by Seth Rollins being the third guy. Now you've mentioned it, like I'm kind of like that's kind of more what I want to see because it's kind of really left field and not really expected. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I'd like to see it really. I mean, look, ultimately, what is Paul Heyman going to do for Seth Rollins that he had? Like, what difference is he going to do for Seth Rollins? Seth Rollins can't already do off his own back. I think there's a bigger swerve coming rather than just Heyman joining Seth Rollins. And I don't know what that is, but I think that it's essentially what's going to be the story for the next 12 months and essentially finishes at WrestleMania next year.
Absolutely. It could be quite fun to see how it's going to play out. Let's go into a prediction. I think that's the best way we should go from here because then we can dive into perhaps maybe our mindsets of it as well. Jonesy, I'll go with you first. Night one main event, Punk, Rollins, Reigns. Who walks away with the dub and how does it play out?
Yeah, for me, I think the winner, I'm going to go Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns wins. I think this all plays out with the fact that CM Punk can be taunted. You made it to a Mania main event, but you didn't win. I think that's really how you then fuel this up for the next 12 months, so to speak. One thing I would say, all roads in this match do lead back to the Shield. So if we look back at it, CM Punk handpicked Roman Reigns for the Shield, allegedly. Punk obviously pitched the idea, and he really wanted Chris Hero back in it instead of Roman. And Seth Rollins was Punk's guy in FCW as well. And Roman and Seth obviously debuted together in the Shield, so to speak. But for me, I think this really is going to be made. I can't see Roman losing another pay-per-view. Seth does need the win, but I think Roman wins, and I think Punk's the one that gets pinned. And I think this could lead to Roman and Punk later on in the year, potentially, because that's a mega match. That's a match that really at SummerSlam feels huge for me at this point. It's one I wanted to see really at the start of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to see Punk versus Reigns 1-on-1, to be fair. I think that certainly would be a big monster match if they were to do it. NXT, Steve, how do you see it playing out?
I think Punk wins.
Nice.
I think Punk wins. Seth is the one that takes the pinfall. And I think ultimately it's going to lead to Punk versus Seth next year at WrestleMania. Because that way you can still do Roman versus Punk, Paul Heyman story wrapped around it or whatever, like some point later on this year. But I think Punk wins this, man. Like whether you kind of go to WrestleMania next year and do End of an Era when you do Seth versus CM Punk for like next Mania, and that's the build for. I don't know. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. I don't know, man. I like it. It's all just like guesses and clue work at this point. We're all playing Sherlock Holmes at this point. But yeah, I think Punk wins this one.
It's interesting because this one's really going to divide the room. I'm going Seth Rollins to win. With a three-way split. Absolutely. There's a 33 and a 3% chance that we could have actually come up with this. But anyway, that we'll talk about that match later.
At least, look, end of the day, one of us is right.
Yes,
absolutely.
One of us is right.
There's one thing you can guarantee: one of us will be right on this main event here. But yeah, anyway, here's my thought process of why I think Rollins wins and how I think he wins. I kind of agree with you, gentlemen, that it's got to a stage where with Heyman, it almost feels too obvious that he aligns with Seth Rollins in this match. So how about he accidentally helps Rollins wins by getting it's in the way or something that just costs somebody or costs both Reigns and Punk in the same moment, and Rollins takes advantage of it and picks up the win, where people then say, was that it? Was that the favor? You can ask the question. It's like the cliffhanger coming out of night one of WrestleMania that you have to wait to Raw to find out if it is. So the Raw after Mania is a reason to need to go and watch it. We don't get enough cliffhangers these days in WWE, and damn, to have one on WrestleMania, I think would really be a really good thing to do, especially for your big crowd. We're coming for Netflix around the world. Of course, Peacock still for the States. That'd be a really good way to go. If Reigns feels that he's been betrayed and that Heyman is with Rollins, Reigns, I believe, is expected to take a break after WrestleMania. Again, dirt sheets, you can believe them, don't believe them, but still. To have Reigns versus Rollins as a singles match at SummerSlam with Heyman's involvement in some fashion could be interesting. To have Heyman sticking around as well with the dynamic of what's going on with Seth Rollins could be interesting in the meantime. So that's something that I want to see play out. I still agree with Nick Steve. I think next year's WrestleMania will be Punk versus Rollins for a world title. But in the meantime, I think the journey and the interesting journey right now is Seth's favor because it's the one big question mark in the air. And I think it's going to lead to a Rollins victory. Whether it's a full-on screw job or something that's accidental, I think the accidental is more fun.
I agree. I think it'd be a bit like SummerSlam 97. Shawn Michaels being the special guest referee and Bret Hart Undertaker with a chair. I can see something similar to that going down.
Absolutely. We'll have to wait and see with that here. Roy, we kind of answered this one now. Do you think Paul Heyman will align with Seth Rollins? I want it to happen. I'll tell you what I would really like to happen. I'd like Heyman to align with Seth, but I'd like Heyman to have recruited Seth to be the third man because actually Paul Heyman's with The Rock as well.
That'd be good.
Jesus.
That'd be really good.
That's
The
a lot.
third man.
It's a lot.
Yeah. While we're the third man, the real left ball theory, I'd say, is Jey Uso. Still, I think that could be something that The Rock gets his champion. I'm not giving my Mania prediction away now in the main event, night 2, but if you want to go full 180 from night 1 to night 2, Jey Uso is the one really for me, ultimately, but that's a long shot, really.
I agree with you, and I think there's a number of reasons why, and I want to talk about that. We will talk about that around the main event area. We'll come back to it because I think you've got a lot of potential with that. It makes more sense than Rollins as well. Right, so we have officially gone through night 1 of WrestleMania. So this is the time to say, hit that like button, share with a friend, subscribe as well. It's that time because we're about to switch our attention to night 2. That's right. Guys, we need to go through the match card of what we've got for night 2. And then we can start in with our predictions. So, and we can see as well the match order. We're going to be discussing them as well. We will be kicking things off with the Women's World Championship, the triple threat match: Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. We'll then move on to the Women's Tag Team Championships: Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez going against Lyle, Valkyria, and Bayley. We've got the Fatal 4-Way for the first time ever for the IC title at a WrestleMania. We've got the champion Braun Breaker, who probably have some stardom of his own, going against Penta, going against Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. We've got AJ Styles going against Logan Paul. We've got Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in a Sin City street fight. And at the time of recording, no match for Randy Orton, but we do have, of course, the main event of night 2, the undisputed WWE Championship match: Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, a 17th world title for Cena, the last real world champion. Or will Cody save wrestling? All that to come and much, much more. But first off, who's going to win the Women's World Championship? We've got Io Sky, the champion, going against Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. I think the quickest and best way to go through this one is that Rhea was coasting. She was champion. She was fine. And then she accidentally cost Io Sky a place in the chamber. And through charity, she gave her a championship match the night after Chamber, or 2 nights after Chamber. The PLEs are on Saturdays now. Bianca won the Chamber, despite the fact that her best friend was completely annihilated inside the Chamber at the start of the match. And of course, her former tag team partner was the one to do so. So she was sort of caught between a rock and a hard place, but she took care of her WrestleMania future and put it first. Of course, though, on Monday Night Raw, perhaps there's an argument you could say that Bianca didn't want to face Rhea Ripley. She kind of was a factor of why Rhea lost that championship. However, Io has always beaten Rhea Ripley in singles matches, always in WWE. It's one of those that Rhea just cannot beat. Since then we had Io Sky versus Bianca Belair, and that's when Rhea Ripley had a very deep emotional promo saying that she has lost her way. It's her fault. But since then, I'm going to go into an opinion-based rather than factual. A bit of a petulant child, really, to find a way to go into WrestleMania. Signed a name on a contract a la Shawn Michaels of WrestleMania 20, although that's not really a way you can get a championship match, just putting your name on a piece of paper. A child could do that. It's not going to make that contract binding. Her name's not printed in it. However, Rhea Ripley found a way to get another championship match against Io Sky. Bianca was the special guest referee. Bianca threw the match as well after a couple of bits of shenanigans. All in all, Adam Pearce, after everything, decided he'd had enough and didn't even say he needed a drink. He just made it official. A triple threat match for WrestleMania. And Steve, I'm going to start with you on this one. Thoughts of the build for these 3 ladies? Particularly interested in your thoughts of Rhea Ripley's build to WrestleMania of the 3.
I mean, I've always said Rhea Ripley will always get to WrestleMania without a title. She doesn't need one. The fact that they've put her in a situation where she can win one, sure, it's great. But for me, I've said it the past couple of times we've been on that I think Io is playing third wheel here, and I think it's detrimental. And I think the result, I'm going to give away my answer earlier. I think Io actually retains here by pinning Rhea Ripley, because I think that saves Bianca Belair's losing streak, because she technically doesn't lose if she isn't pinned. But I think Io needs this win more than anything because, like I said, she's been third wheeling. Every time something started, she's been pushed to a side, and it's always been about Rhea and Bianca. And I think that way, Io can retain, go on to face someone else. We're going to get Bianca versus Rhea in a rematch, maybe at Backlash, whenever. But I think, like I said, in a triple threat and someone feels like a third wheel, I don't think it's the best build they've ever done.
No, I can understand. Do you feel that Io's been the third wheel, Jonesy?
Yeah, I think she's just in there really to take the pinfall, in my opinion, without giving my prediction away. Yeah, it's not been the strongest build. For years, I've been wanting to see Rhea versus Bianca as a singles match. I've been crying for this match here. But yeah, I think she's just in there. I'm just more shocked that she's going in as champion, really. But I think it's quite important that neither Rhea or Bianca get pinned here for me. I don't think either one of them two should be losing at WrestleMania, particularly Bianca with a up-and-coming win streak that she's on currently. Like, she's 3-0, obviously, at WrestleMania. And I think it's really, really important, particularly if they're going to elevate her and finally turn her to a heel, that she does go out sort of looking strong, if that makes sense, in this match.
Absolutely. 3-0 in singles matches and also victory in a 6-woman tag team match as well. So she's got everything to lose by not, if she loses this match in any format. That undefeated streak is gone. The modern day Undertaker undefeated streak would disappear forever.
I'm still pretty sure that she's manifested this 3-0 thing. I don't think this is a WWE thing. I just think
Probably
this
not
is
intentionally.
Bianca trying to manifest it.
It's probably dangerous,
she-
like, for the booking team, isn't it? Like, imagine having that sort of hanging over you all the time, and it makes
Yeah.
it impossible that she can't lose
'Cause
and all the other stuff, I think.
If she loses, do you know what I mean? In the wrestling community, we'll just go to meltdown. Oh, she was 3-0. She was on a streak. Do you know what I mean? We see her throw up. And I think that's what they've got to be careful, is that Bianca isn't booking herself into a corner.
It'll be interesting to see how it will go down. But I kind of agree with Jonesy that Io's there to take the pinfall. But although she's been booked like a third wheel, I think that she's got the potential to be built as a star in this match. I think that whilst it's not been my favorite build to WrestleMania, I do think all three performers are fantastic. I would say arguably, I'm going to go out as far as saying the three best women's wrestlers in the world. I think Io is up there as one of the best women's wrestlers. Bianca, I think, right now is the top. But I think Rhea has been booked the strongest of all three of them over the last 2 years, even though she's had some injuries as well in that time. So it's a match that I'm really excited to see, even if I'm not been a fan of how we've got here. I think now that we're here, I think it's going to be awesome. I think that the long-term play is what you've both said already, which is Belair versus Ripley. I did feel it was too soon for the singles match this year because Belair's been off doing tag duties for the last 12 months. So this way, you can build her back up, especially if she wins this match and Rhea doesn't get involved in the decision. I think that's a way then to continue this on, separate them in the draft, keep this going to like Royal Rumble season for next year. Rhea wins the Rumble, and all of a sudden, boom, you can build up Bianca versus Rhea for the title next year. The two heavyweights, literally the clash of the Titans is what I want to try and say here when it comes to Bianca versus Rhea. Put that in the YeetaMania match, and I think in New Orleans even would have a potential that of actually being a main event because those are the two top current stars of the women's division in WWE.
I'd agree. I think this is the female equivalent of Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, back in the day. Like, look at it. Like, Rhea Ripley never loses. She's basically the female Roman Reigns. Bianca Belair, pretty unstoppable. She's another one that doesn't really lose once she's on a singles run. For me, it's a dream match. It's one I've been crying out for. Really somebody that's equal of Rhea Ripley, finally. Because when you make Rhea Ripley so strong, it does make it tough when you see her just beating everybody like Liv Morgan continually again and again, basically. No offense.
I think the goal now is to turn Bianca heel and have her spend the next 12 months building up this heel persona. That's the important thing. Is you want a heel Bianca going into WrestleMania, babyface Rhea, money.
Yeah, completely agree. I completely agree with it. And so far, when it comes to Bianca and Rhea's history, Bianca's always been one step ahead of Rhea. Although Rhea now has been booked stronger probably in the last 2 years as champion, as being a dominant champion. Like Jonesy said, it's the dream match we've cried out for. So now, if you have a situation, which is how I feel will play out, I still, what I said earlier on night one, think is going to happen, but just we're going to get it in a different way. So I think Bianca's going to win the title here. I think Io's going to get pinned. I think Rhea's going to be screwed out of that victory because she'll have had the match won as well. Classic, to win the triple threat match. So that way you can then put things casted to the side. In the meantime, Bianca can see that Naomi was right. That way, then she can actually help Naomi in a rematch against Jade Cargill. That's what I think will happen. I think we'll build to Bianca versus Jade for SummerSlam. I think Bianca is going to get through that as well. And I think then we can start pushing then as we get towards the end of the year, starting the build for Bianca and Rhea for WrestleMania. And I think Rhea to win the Royal Rumble potentially could be something that could happen in Saudi next year. Or perhaps Liv can win the title and go for the other one, because I know that's what our chat really wants. Either way, Bianca versus Rhea could be built that way. Do you know what? It might actually make more sense that Rhea wins the chamber, because if that's the way Bianca Belair's got in this position. If Rhea could do that, it's a bit of symmetry, and that can make that work pretty fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Intertwining story sounds like the one, really, because they had all this history that goes back from NXT, so it'd be actually make more sense for them to book it in a comparison where look, you've won the Rumble, I've won the Rumble, you've won Chamber, I've won Chamber kind of way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd work that way. But I do think Io Sky still, it's great to see her on WrestleMania. Everyone wanted her here, and I think that she would definitely be a standout nonetheless. Let's go to our chats and see what everyone's going to say. West Coast Podcast in the house. Hope you guys are doing well. Good to see you in there. Eric says that Io has to win. I think Oscar. I think some first Joshi to win at Mania.
Oscar hasn't won at Mania.
Has she not won at Mania?
I think Oscar's undefeated. Oscar hasn't won a single match at Mania.
Oh, okay.
I'll have a quick look.
Yeah. Eric, you could be onto something there, my friend. Let's see. Maybe it may, or maybe it won't. We'll have to wait and see. We've not predicted it, though.
Oscar is 0-6 at WrestleMania. Wow. She's lost to Charlotte Flair at 39, Rhea Ripley at 38, lost to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross at 37, eliminated from a Battle Royal on 35, lost to Charlotte at 34, and lost to Charlotte at 33. 0-6.
Totally forgot about.
I think I remember reading it.
Wow, somebody you totally forget about, isn't it? Really, unfortunately.
Absolutely, yeah. Modern day big show when it comes to WrestleManias. Anyway, hopefully she can get a win next time she's there. Anyway, we mentioned Liv Morgan's name with Rhea Ripley because some of us, I think, felt that would be the WrestleMania direction, but Liv unfortunately isn't in a singles championship match. But she is currently a women's tag team champion. She's champion with her bestie, Raquel Rodriguez, of course. They are 3-time women's tag team champions and have been proclaimed. Raquel's proclaimed the greatest women's tag team in WWE history, going against Lyra Valkyria and Bayley, two people that fought for the Intercontinental Championship recently, which Lyra retained. And of course, they then won a gauntlet on SmackDown, where they started the gauntlet and went through every single team. And it's Steve, way to build that tag team division.
Exactly. I hate to be a downer, but this is building for a completely brand new tag team. This match, my prediction early: Liv and Raquel are going to retain. This is all building for Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez's main roster debut. There is a women's tag team gauntlet match. The winner of that is going to go on to face the tag team champions. That's going to be their main event debut, I'm going to imagine. And because they don't like to carry them over as heels, they're probably going to come up as baby faces and go up against Raquel and Liv. I think Bayley and Lyra are just ultimately going to be like, they can't get along. They're going to end up costing each other, and I think that's going to be the match going down the line, is Lyra versus Bayley for that IC title. So nice and early, Raquel and Liv retain on this one.
Jonesy.
Yeah, I think for me, champions retain. I think Lyra's the one that's going to take the pinfall here. And I just think it's great to see Liv Morgan get a spot on the card. But I'm not really too bothered by this match. I think it's just a throwaway, really. But the women's tag team champions retain.
Women's tag team champions retain. I agree, I think, with everything NXT has said, so I'm not going to repeat it. And I'm going to say that only difference I'll say, Jonesy, I think that Bayley's going to take the pinfall because I think that the heel turn will happen on the Raw after Mania.
Good chat.
Okay.
There we go. Let's see what happens. We'll see if it will happen or not.
Probably short as that much will be.
Absolutely, yeah. Sid has asked the question: do we think we'll get Randy Orton versus Solo Sikoa at WrestleMania 41? So I suppose we'll ask the question now because I have it in the thing right now. So let's bring it up. Hold on. Will Randy Orton have a match at WrestleMania 41? And Steve, we'll start with you.
Probably, because the poster for Backlash has come out and his face is all over it, and I think they need to start the build to it. So it's probably going to be Solo, as much as I want it to be Nick Aldis, because I'd love to see it. But yeah, I think you've got to start something now for Backlash if you want Randy to be the face of the poster, and if he's not going to have nothing for Backlash.
Absolutely. Jonesy.
Yeah, I think for me, he'll definitely have a match. I'm going to go out, and I reckon it'll be Nick Aldis. I actually think it'll be Nick Aldis. All the bookings doing that. I don't think they're going to throw away the potential returns of Rusev, Aleister Black, and all that lot at WrestleMania for nothing really. I think so. Aldis losing to Randy Orton doesn't really do too much harm. Although they could try Solo
Aldis gets a
Sikoa.
Mania moment.
If it is going to be Solo Sikoa, why have they not announced it already? You're teasing something like big for WrestleMania, and Aldis I think fits that for me. All the fans want to see him back as well. It'd be great to see him in a WWE ring. It's something I never thought I'd see, to be honest, as a wrestler.
Absolutely. I could see it being Solo Sikoa. I want it to be Nick Aldis, but I wouldn't be surprised if Solo and Tama beat down Randy on SmackDown this upcoming week, and that Sami Zayn returns. We have a tag team match.
Aldis and Orton versus Tama and Solo.
Well, I've gone with Sami and Orton to be in that position.
No, Sammy's missing Mania. He's having time off with family, so he's 100% out of Mania apparently. Well,
100%.
We'll see.
Well, yeah, 3% botch. According to the dirt sheets, is 100% out of Mania. But I'd like to see Aldis in the tag match.
Because I thought to myself before, like with Orton, I felt with him when it was him versus KO that Sammy would return at Mania and help Randy Orton win with taking out Kevin Owens. But we'll see what happens in the meantime. But yeah.
This is what I said to you when they did KO versus Sammy. I said whoever loses is out of Mania. That's the point of that match, and I think that's genuinely it. I don't think Sammy's going to be there. Although, as cool as it'd be, I still want Nick Aldis.
Absolutely. So hypothetical conversation. Whether it's Nick Aldis or Solo Sikoa or insert wrestler, who wins between Randy Orton and Vacant? So, Jonesy, who wins? Does Randy win at WrestleMania, depending on who he faces?
Yeah, Randy Orton's winning. As NXT Steve said earlier, that poster, Randy Orton's all over the show for the Backlash poster next month. It makes no sense to have him all over there, grinning like a Cheshire cat, like he's the cat that's got the cream, if he's not going to win the WrestleMania match, so to speak. So, yeah, I think Orton wins unless it doesn't become a match and it becomes an angle or something, just to get him on the show, so to speak.
Absolutely. NXT Steve.
I think Randy wins, but there's a bigger plot twist that goes on Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania, which leads to Backlash. I'll save that till later.
You'll save that till later.
And I think Randy getting a win at WrestleMania as a babyface with 60 to 80,000 people singing his theme song, he's going to love it getting that entrance.
Yeah, that will be pretty awesome. Yeah, I would say Randy wins. Whoever he faces, I think Orton's picking up the victory. If I
can I tell you what I'd like to have seen? I'd like to have seen Randy face Carmelo Hayes. That's really what I would love to have seen, but it would make no sense. I appreciate that from the booking sense of view, but I think that could have been great in ring.
Funny that you mentioned Carmelo Hayes.
Tagging with the Miz.
He's tagging with the Miz, which leads me to this question. Will the tag team championships be defended at WrestleMania 41? We know they've been defended on the SmackDown before WrestleMania, which of course is Street Profits versus Motor City Machine Guns. But DIY have been in the conversation, pretty deadly, lost Gaza. And if we're being brutally honest here, Mellow Don't Miz, Carmelo Hayes and the Miz was saying that the Street Profits have basically besmirched the tag team championships with them not being defended at WrestleMania. It shows a weak champions and weak division. Is there a way that all these teams perhaps maybe can find a way, or certainly four of them, I would say, probably Mellow Don't Miz, Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, and Street Profits could be a last-minute addition fatal four-way tag team match for WrestleMania?
As much as I'd like to say yes, unfortunately, they need something for SmackDown. Otherwise, SmackDown will be a very boring show.
It could be anyway. Jonesy?
Not for me. I think if it was going to be on the show, they would have announced it already. I can't see them adding it because they don't have kickoff matches now. I just don't know where it fits in. Night one, especially not. Night one start. Night two, there is a potential vacant spot for a match, but I think the show's going to be a long show. You don't want to add anything more to it, if I'm being honest.
Fair play. I think there's a space.
I don't want a reason to have to watch the kickoff show.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no,
I agree with that. No reason to watch the
People watch that today. People watch that these days. God, I don't know.
Apparently,
bring back the free for all, 30 minutes like back in the day. Bring that back.
A last question for Nick Steve. How criminal is it that Chelsea Green's not on WrestleMania?
Oh, 100%. Even though she's never going to lose. Look, man, Chelsea will get her flowers, man, and. Look, Lyra's not defending the IC title. I know Lyra is on the card, though. Like, again, it's almost criminal to do one without the other. But then again, like I said, SmackDown tag team titles aren't there. US Championship isn't on there. Look, Chelsea Green will get her flowers. And when she wins a world heavyweight, a world championship, trust me, things will be all right in the world.
Jonesy, are you a fan of Chelsea Green's direction? Should she be on WrestleMania?
It's a real travesty. I think she could have been real fun with the crowd. It probably has similar vibes to Al Snow, Steve Blackman's, Chester McCheesington, that type of crowd interaction, modern day version of that, but a bit more campy than that. But no, I would have been a fan of seeing her on the show. I think she brings real good fun to WWE. It's a real shame. Feel bad for people like that missing out on the show, particularly being the champion as well. It's just all belts should be on WrestleMania for me, really.
I agree, and especially those championships who are in their infancy, their first year, the women's IC and women's United States Championship should have been on WrestleMania. That is lazy and criminal booking from WWE. However you want to spin it, they should have been on this show. But we'll move on in the meantime. We'll talk about another match. So we talked about Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, who are part of the Judgment Day. There are two other members of the Judgment Day, Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor, that are challenging for the Intercontinental Championship. Of course, Bron Breakker, the champion, Penta also is in the match, and Cero Miedo. I'm loving Penta in WWE. I'm not going to lie. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it.
Can I just interject quickly? This is low-key my most exciting looking for. Like, I know what I said, El Grande Americano. This has potential to be match of the weekend.
This is going to be a fun one. I mean, Bron Breakker's spears. I mean, Jonesy, Breaker's spear on Carlito. I mean, it's like a blimmin' speed train.
Spit him out of his shoes, didn't he? Like, it's just unstoppable. He makes Goldberg's spears look like they're nothing, doesn't he? Really.
Absolutely. I think Breakker has the best spear, I'm going to say, out there. I mean, he's a Steiner after all. Bron Breakker is absolutely incredible. Penta has been awesome since coming into WWE. Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio, I've loved the fact that these have had the friction going into WrestleMania. Obviously, we've not had JD McDonough around for a while. Dominic wanted a new member. Finn Balor didn't. And they've had this sort of backwards and forwards thing. And Balor saying, Dom, you're a loser. No one believes in you. But I do. I like all that sort of stuff. They've been playing around with this. And we've built our way into a fatal four-way here through stuff on the European tour, really. Just stuff. I think Penta wanted the shot first. Finn Balor wanted it second. And, of course, Dominic wanted Penta in the Judgment Day, so that didn't go down too well. Gentlemen, I want your takes on this, but there's not many matches I've actually predicted first. And I feel we're all going to say the same thing. I'd like to take this one, if you don't mind, because I have a little bit of extra I want to throw onto this one, onto the barbecue, if you will. It's Dominic Mysterio's got to win this, right? Surely Dom's winning the IC title. And surely he's pinning Finn Balor. I think Penta's there for the spectacle and the Cero Miedo. I think Breaker's there for literally the breaking Balor spear. And I think something's going to happen where Breakker doesn't get the pin. Dominic's going to fall on top and is going to win the IC title and be like an Eddie Guerrero, if you want, and with Balor being jealous the next night on Raw. I have my reasoning for it. I think that Balor's being kicked out of the Judgment Day the night after WrestleMania. And I think Dominic's going to bring in a new member. And I'm going to talk about that member after I let you two have a discussion on this match, if you agree with me or disagree. And Steve, I'll go first because I feel like you're itching to get in.
Dude, I am exactly the same as you. For me, Dominic Mysterio is winning that. As much as I'd love to see Penta win this, because I think that was the original match tease, was Bron versus Penta. 100% want to see it. This is Dominic Mysterio's babyface turn for me. I can't wait for this. I honestly, I think he's going to get cheered, man. I think the people are going to love it, and I cannot wait. The Dominic Mysterio is in line to be my wrestler of the year again. This could be the moment.
I've got a way that he's going to get booed again. Jonesy, do you? Yeah. I assume it feels like it's everyone's prediction that Dom will find a way to win this title. Do you see it playing out the same way that Balor's the one that takes the pinfall? How do you see things playing out?
Yeah, I think that's exactly kind of what will happen. It makes total sense for Dom Mysterio to be the biggest heel in WWE, one of the biggest heels in WWE with the IC title. It's Eddie Guerrero all over again. I'd love to see it. And yeah, I think this is a really good move. I think this creates frees up Bron Breakker to really go up the card as well, which is sensible. So I think this would be a great match. I think it's got some potentially really good moments in it. I think potentially like some of the work they can do. I would love them to bring out the demon for Finn Balor, but I just don't think they'll do that. There's nothing on TV really showing that. But for me, Dom to win here, and really that will then, as you said, it'll probably blow up. I'm just hoping the next thing you say with who the member is will have a similar impact to X-Pac joining Generation X from back in the day. I remember that was the night after WrestleMania as well.
Okay, so I am going to suggest that the night after Mania, Balor is kicked out of the group. And I think eventually JD McDonough will come back and those two will be like, because I think JD McDonough is going to be cheered when he comes back anyway, because of the fact he had a horrible injury. And I think that people are actually going to respect the fact he did the end of that match. Balor at this point, I think, has done what he can do with the Judgment Day. I think he needs a fresh direction as well. Dominic Mysterio to win the IC title and to still be booed and have Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, who could be a strong person that could go with them. I'll tell you who that could be, is a man that will be in this match against AJ Styles, Mr. Logan Paul. I'm going to predict will join the Judgment Day.
Okay.
There was a podcast with Logan Paul and Dominic Mysterio. I believe it was the Impulsive one. I'm going to go back about a year ago or so. These two actively spoke about on this podcast wanting to work together. And they said that when there's a time and period where Dominic can get rid of the other Judgment Day members, that he would happily work alongside, because he said those two would get mega heel heat, more heat than anyone's ever got in WWE. And the fact is that Priest has left the group, Rhea Ripley's left the group, and if they kick Balor out the group, well, Dominic's then kind of technically the leader. So if you bring someone in, to bring someone in like Logan Paul, I think kind of fits the vibe of what Judgment Day currently is about. It's a detestable group that's seen as like, Dom's like dirty Dom. Liv has kind of got this character thing going on as well, which, people don't fully all take to. Raquel's just the bodyguard. I think Logan actually would fit in quite nicely, Nick, Steve.
Yeah, and even you saying that automatically makes me then think to the point where we get those two versus each other and we get Dom's probably natural babyface turn when he goes up against Logan Paul at some point. So that does make a hell of a lot of sense. I know the interview you're talking about. It just, the problem is you kind of you're almost selling me on what my result for the next match should be as well now. Yeah. So yeah, dude, it sounds. The only thing is getting Balor out of the group. That's the only worry for me. I presume that Balor will probably ask for a one-on-one match on Raw after Mania, which will then inevitably lead to him leaving the group or being kicked out. And like I said, if you almost have Logan Paul cost Finn Balor that match, it's almost a way of kicking Finn Balor out there.
You can, Jonesy. I was going to come to you next.
I was just going to say, is there no chance that the new member of Judgment Day could be one Jeff Cobb potentially? I appreciate that people aren't really going to know who he is, but this would be an actual spot for him to come in, I think, really. I think this could be a great decision. Logan Paul would be far more fun for the heel heat. I appreciate that.
I think for the heel beat, but the reason I also think it'd be fun for him is because they have the Prime stuff going on as well. You could have a new edition of Prime. Judgment Day colors their own vibe of it. It could be very WWE themed as well. But with Jeff Cobb, he would be great as just the muscle. The guy is an absolute destroyer as well. He could be like the Raquel is for Liv, that keeps Dom going, because Dom's going to need some heavy backup as well if he's going to go in some of these matches. So Jeff Cobb would be also a very exciting proposition to be in that group as well.
There's no reason why they can't bring them both in, to be fair.
That's true. It's very true. Could be like a full DX98, bringing X-Pac and the Outlaws in the same night.
What you could do then is have Logan cost Finn. Finn then gets his match against Logan, and then Jeff Cobb comes in and costs Finn that match as well.
Yeah, you could
do
Finn that.
Gets separated. Yeah. Then Finn gets separated in the draft and then can go start winning some matches and actually go and win a title.
Is there any way that Dom wins this match by interference, though, do you reckon? A bit like Apollo Crews with help of Commander Aziz back in the day, back at WrestleMania against Big E, if you remember. Is there any way that Dom gets the win?
I won't lie, Jonesy. That's the worst reference you could ever pull up is Commander Aziz helping Apollo Crews win a match. Of every match in the history of wrestling, you went with Commander Aziz helping Apollo Crews.
I think of an interference.
I don't care. There were better references in general than Commander Aziz and Apollo.
It was in the Continental as well. There you go.
Fair enough.
Can we get one of these in the comments, please? Just hit the like button. If you appreciate Commander Aziz, hit that like button right now on the video. We
don't remember who he is.
It was
the lights don't increase.
Yeah, I know. I'm just joking for the comments. I'm just saying on the chat. Actually, remember who he is. Yeah,
but they could have that way where it's revealed on the night. But I think in this, it would be more fun for the fact that Balor has to have egg on his face. I think that would be kind of fun for the moment. But hey, look, we've gone into quite a bit here. So I think what we could do is in the meantime we could move on to the next match, because guess what? Yeah, I put these matches together on purpose. Let's talk about AJ Styles versus Logan Paul, shall we? I think the first question I need to ask is 2 years ago at WrestleMania, KSI was the Prime Bottle. Last year, I Show Speed. Who's in that Prime Bottle this year, Jonesy?
Is it going to be Jake Paul? Maybe I really don't know. Like it could be a UFC fighter, maybe. Yeah, really no idea. To be fair, I wouldn't even really like to guess.
I don't really know his entourage that well. Any
Yeah, I
YouTubers
don't know
NXT that could work apart
So
from us that would fit the mold?
I'm trying to think. Maybe like I'm trying to think of an up and coming YouTuber that's sort of blown up this year, but I can't think of any. Only person I can think of is like Sketch, but if you don't know who Sketch is, it's kind of like I don't know, man. It's kind of irrelevant. You need someone almost bigger, so I don't know.
You don't think KSI would do double duty? Maybe come back again?
No.
Just for.
Could
I
do.
think that's a one and done. That one.
Won't be Show Speed. I would have thought, particularly after the beating he took at the Royal Rumble. I think he's been off WWE. To be fair, probably.
I just want to see him speared again, to be honest.
Yeah,
It's the best thing of that Rumble. But anyway, let's get on to AJ Styles Logan Paul. I'm not going to lie, guys. This build has not really done much for me. We've got probably 2 years most left for the AJ Styles WrestleMania, and I kind of feel like one of them is being wasted on just that they can repeat a Royal Rumble spot they did with Ricochet that they can't show anymore. Could we see a double phenomenal forearm done in this match, Jonesy, between Styles and Paul?
Yeah, potentially. I think Logan Paul's a really, really good he's really, really good in ring. For the lack of experience he's got, AJ's still a legend. For me, I just don't really care about this match, but that spot may happen. I think this will be okay as a mid-card type match, but it doesn't feel WrestleMania for me. It feels kind of thrown together. Both are kind of in the place of not doing really much. Both are sort of not chasing any belts, and Logan Paul really, besides him chasing the world title previously, he's never really kind of been able to go back to that, which is a shame because he's fantastic in ring. This guy has so much potential, and his heel heat really should carry him to that next level, in my opinion.
Certainly should. And Steve, I throw the question to you: is the European Tour harm this feud because Logan Paul has not been around for most of it?
I think the story's just bigger than the pair of them. Like, honestly, the story seems more interesting between Karrion Kross and AJ Styles than anything else. Even though their match this week on Raw was a little bit, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm more interested to see what happens with that coming out of it. And I think, like you talked a minute ago about like double phenomenal forearms. My biggest worry is AJ, if I'm honest, because, like you said, he hasn't got that many years left, and he's even discussed the fact that he's like not sure that he can still do the same stuff that he used to be able to do, and like I don't want him to go and try that spot and it doesn't pay off. And so like I'm sitting there thinking, like, does AJ need to change his in-ring style? Is this the whole point they're putting him with Karrion, is we're going to get a new sort of mat-based wrestling version of AJ Styles after WrestleMania? I don't know, but I think that's what I think that's what I'd like to see. I'll be honest with you, just seeing Karrion Kross on TV, I think, was a plus this week. But it's for the build for these two, it feels like Logan Paul is the third wheel in this story for me.
Karrion Kross, by the way, I actually really enjoyed his performance. His stuff with AJ in general, like the stuff that he put like a video on Instagram, it's like 6 minutes long. It's brilliant about like how Styles needs to win this match. It's awesome, and do it for us and stuff like that. But I did say as well that Logan Paul had the advantage as well on Raw going into this show. So it makes me wonder, does he then still win at the PLE? Does AJ Styles win because of that? Kross is praying that Styles does win, but he's done nice little unique character twist. He's dressed similar to AJ, done his hair like AJ, faked the knee injury that AJ had this past week on Raw. Jonesy, I don't know why I'm talking more about Kross than Paul and Styles here, but is it a bit of a crime that Kross is not
the build?
It's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame. I think with Kross, he's done some good work. I like the entrance this past week where he went back to his old entrance and old theme. The fact the guy still got a job is great. I was worried for him part last year that he'd be out of a job, but it's a real shame. He's another one really that's got stuck in this whole Wyatt stuff that unfortunately has obviously been temporarily postponed. And I think it's just it's a shame he's not on the card, but it's just what it is, really. I guess in terms of this match, I think it'll be okay in ring. But if you look at where Logan Paul's gone from and his trajectory in the last 12 months, last year he was defending the United States title and winning. I just think this year he'll probably. My prediction is he's going to win again, but beating AJ Styles doesn't really do too much for him. It's not really a rub. It's not really an elevation. It's just ticking the box. Logan Paul to win, and it'll be via a cheap win. I can see one of his entourage getting involved, probably the Brass Knucks or something quick like that. Really, for me.
Fair play. And Steve.
I think this lot. I've been going to say I'm going at Logan Paul to win. I think again this is for the character change for AJ. I think he either starts tag teaming with Karrion Kross, or Karrion Kross is essentially going to be his Mr. Miyagi to him, and he's going to teach him like UFC ground-based style wrestling. We're going to get that bulldog AJ that Vince always wanted years ago. I think that's going to be the best thing to kind and make AJ's career last a little bit longer if he changes up his wrestling style. And I think he has to take that loss. He almost has to be sort of broken down to be built back up again. And I think Karrion Kross is that guy to do it.
Yeah, I think that all makes a lot of sense. The only thing for me is we did see the pulverizer on Raw, so part of me makes me feel like, well, AJ Styles then should probably win at this show. And I mean, if Logan Paul lost, that makes sense for him then to say, look, I've been losing some matches, maybe join the group's not a bad thing for me. But at the same time, it's hard to go against the argument. The Karrion Kross thing is a factor. What happens if AJ Styles wins? It's like, I don't know, do they carry on their feud in a different way? I'm not sure. It does, logistically in the story, it makes sense for Logan Paul.
Unless Karrion Kross is Logan Paul's next opponent.
Potentially. I'm going to join you, though. Logan Paul hat-trick. Logan Paul to beat AJ Styles here. I think that's the way it's going down. Paul asking, do we see AJ Styles return to TNA?
Hopefully.
I'd like to see that. That'd be a great homecoming. Definitely.
As a one-off, yes, and I reckon a Bound for Glory or a Slammiversary will be when it goes down. So I have to wait and see if that happens. Vicky in the house, thank you for joining us, Vicky. Hope you're well. Asks who wants Sasha back. Sasha Banks, of course, Mercedes Moné. Joseph, would you like to see her back in WWE at some point?
No, not for me, really. I was a real massive fan of her. I would like to have seen her come back before she went to AEW, but I've not really enjoyed her recent work in AEW. I think the Mercedes character, for me, really is all the bad qualities of her. I think she really is very much, she's got a lot of ego, hasn't she? And I think that sometimes doesn't really sort of, she's never really been able to replicate the great matches she had in WWE and AEW so far.
Okay. And it's Steve?
I'm going to say yes, just because we have to have that 4 Horsemen women match at some point.
That's a match I want to see, so that would be a reason I'd want her to come back. But yeah. I can't say right now that I need Sasha Banks in WWE, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm clamoring for her to come back. If she came back, great. But I can't say that I'm sitting there going, oh, Sasha has to come back. I'm kind of content with where she is in AEW, and I think WWE is doing just fine without her as well. So
yeah, definitely.
It's one of those for now. Let's go into the Sin City Street Fight. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. Some people are a bit on this match at first. Not going to lie, I've always been quite into it. And now they've added the stipulation of the Sin City Street Fight. It's just what this bad boy needed, in my opinion, because, well, basically, Damian Priest has been a thorn in Drew McIntyre's side over the last year. Whilst the feud was with CM Punk a lot of the time, Priest was the one to cash in on McIntyre at WrestleMania after Punk attacked Drew McIntyre. Then they had the match at Clash of the Castle, and of course, when CM Punk cost Drew the title, Priest was the champion and the guy he was in the match with, so Priest won a second time. They had a match at Money in the Bank, of course, when Drew actually cashed in on the Damian Priest-Seth Rollins match. CM Punk took out Drew McIntyre, and Damian Priest picked up the victory. Fast forward to the Royal Rumble, Priest eliminated Drew, and of course in the Elimination Chamber, Priest eliminated Drew. Kind of all makes sense, really. So this is a story that's kind of similar to what Jey Uso and Gunther's been going through, except it's the other way around. Damian Priest is the face and Drew McIntyre's the heel. But if you kind of put a Captain Jack Sparrow about this, Drew McIntyre got glass in the eye, didn't he? I hope that wasn't real glass when CM Punk walked past in the show in, I believe it was in the O2 in London. But still, we've got the Sin City Street Fight here anyway. The toys are coming out for this one, which is good to see a stipulation match. There's not enough of them here on WrestleMania. I genuinely think this is a sleeper match for the weekend, Jones. I think this one could actually put a lot of eyes on the prize, and be interested to see if Drew picks up the win or if Priest gets a bit more momentum again.
I think it'd be really, really good. If you look at, if it's anything like the CM Punk Drew Hell in a Cell from Bad Blood last year, I think this will particularly be where the violence is for the week, really. I think there'll be a real great option to go outside the ring, do stuff, interact with the stage, the set, that type of stuff. I'm really hoping that it's hard hitting. And yeah, I think this should be good. I think this is really, really good. It's good to see Drew sort of in an ODQ match. I think he really I really like sort of seeing him when he's not really constrained by just the ring, if that makes sense. But I really hope that this has a great opportunity really to create some real good crazy bumps and stunts and stuff like that. This is very much an AEW style match for me. WWE's answer to an AEW style match.
Interesting. And Steve, your thoughts with this one?
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Jonesy said, I think that they need to make the most of this. Dude, like I said, bring all the bells and whistles, ladders, chairs, tables, oh my, ring bells, street signs, everything. Like, if this is going to be the only stipulation match on the card, make the most of it. And you know what I mean? If it permits blood, even get a bit of color going. Just basically do whatever you can. Early prediction, Drew McIntyre. I think Drew needs to win this. I think we need to get him on the road to the top of the mountain again. And I think it starts with beating Damian Priest at WrestleMania.
Jonesy, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think Drew to win here. I think he really needs to win. We need to get him back, as Steve said, back on the world title picture, get him back up there challenging. And I think this will be a really good opportunity to really use stuff like casino chips and poker chips and that type of stuff. Imagine giant poker chips, like suplex stuff, that type of stuff. But I think Drew here to get the win. I think if Drew doesn't win here, it'll be a travesty. Damian Priest has had his world title. Drew's the one that needs to get the lift to go up to that next level and maybe potentially face Jey Uso at Backlash.
Yeah, that's a really good shout there, certainly for a first championship match for Jey Uso. Yeah, I agree with you guys. Drew McIntyre to win here. I think Damian Priest, he's been the one that's been the thorn in Drew's side. Drew needs to get rid of that thorn to move on to the next chapter. So Drew wins here. He puts Priest into the rearview mirror for now. Priest, I'm not sure where he goes after WrestleMania at this point. He needs something. It's been a background of that lackluster since moving to SmackDown. But Drew, for me, I'm going to say he will be a world champion by the end of 2025. Whether that is the World Heavyweight Championship or WWE Championship, I think he will win one of them. I wouldn't be surprised if he was someone that could win the WWE Championship on SmackDown. However, speaking of the WWE Championship on SmackDown, that brings us nicely. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. It's main event time, folks. Will John Cena win the 17th world title, become the real world's champion, break Ric Flair's record? Yes, I said it. Break Ric Flair's record, the one that WWE counts anyway. Or will Cody Rhodes continue to be the man? He's been the champion for over a year now. And will he continue that hot streak? He's, of course, beat the likes of Roman Reigns. He's been mixing up with The Rock. And now he's mixing up with John Cena. Who would have ever thought John Cena would turn heel, which he did at the Elimination Chamber? Of course, he aligned himself with The Rock at the time, so it seemed. And Travis Scott, now that would have been a group, eh? Travis Scott gave Cody a shiner, and we didn't see John Cena until he turned up in Belgium. John Cena gave a fantastic promo for about 30 minutes in ring, and probably has ruined one Belgian boy's childhood. Since then, he's gone on to other shows and has gone on to say that pretty much he's got an issue against the fans. Cody's called him out on that and said that the issue is not with the fans, you're lying. John Cena, though, did kind of finally say that it's more the fact of the fans accepting mediocrity. A mediocre champion is what Cody Rhodes is. And pretty much has said all the things that is wrong with Cody Rhodes as well. But not before Cody could not say all the things that was wrong with John Cena as well, including with the old famous "you can't wrestle" line. That got John Cena a bit hot and under the collar, let's say, and he went for an attack on Cody and ate across Rhodes for his trouble. Cody paraded all the championships on SmackDown this past week. Not my favorite promo, to be honest. However, I did see the importance of it and actually making reference to John Cena's Spinner Championship, which John Cena's threatened to bring back should he win the big one here. Yeah, I'll start with NXT, Steve. Cody Rhodes, John Cena. The build has been hot, certainly in a lot of places on this European tour.
I mean, look, this is, I've said this, if anyone's watched the channel before, this has been the best booking to keep Cody Rhodes on the highest platform, where he comes off of 40 facing Roman Reigns, comes off 39 faces Roman Reigns. His progression to be on the Mania cards has just gone up and up and up. And John Cena is the ultimate person for him to face this year. I think they've done the right thing in terms of Cody Rhodes. This has been the most fun I've watched John Cena in a very long time. him being narcissistic and just being so egotistical is just so refreshing, because I'm used to the guy that's like, oh, yeah, I do it for you fans. But now it's all I do it for me. Forget you guys. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. The fact that they've brought bits of like Cena can't wrestle and all that kind of stuff into it, I appreciate, because it's almost like it's something people have been wanting to say to him for years. And now that someone's finally said it, do you know what I mean? You've almost pushed Cena to that point where he's pissed off now. He's ready for a fight. And like you said, he's going to kill professional wrestling, even though you're technically contracted for until the end of the year. So I don't know how you're going to leave with the title, but I digress. But I am thoroughly enjoyed this build. I think this is the right main event for night 2. This has been the best built match, just in general. Like, I know that it's been very like, there's no mention of The Rock from Cena. Cody randomly throws it like off the cuff one week, and then that's there to please everyone. So there are still answers to come from that. But in terms of Cody Rhodes' progression as a WWE champion, keeping him on top, John Cena is the best build for him this year.
Absolutely. You mentioned The Rock there. Jonesy, how have you felt with the lack of Rock involvement since Elimination Chamber?
I think it's been a shame. I think there's obviously reasons why The Rock isn't there. They've done the best they can. If I ignore the Elimination Chamber and just go from everything onwards, I think it's fine. I just think nothing really adds up. The whole thing about taking someone's soul, that's not been explained. I'm not into sort of getting the answers quickly and just sort of, but it is slightly concerning how stuff's been dropped. But I think they've done what they can. This has been the biggest heel turn since Hulk Hogan, arguably. It's been a huge heel turn. I just don't know really if John Cena's been nasty enough. There's not been any of that violence that we saw at Elimination Chamber, so to speak. And really, John Cena, he is sarcastic. I get that. I think the European tour's kind of hindered things a little bit, but I am excited for this match. It's great to have a WrestleMania main event involving Cody that's open. We're not actually it's not obvious who's going to win this match, which is quite nice. I just really hope that we do get some answers going forward, and I really hope that stuff hasn't been dropped, because I think this is one of the biggest angles that they've done in years, and the follow-up for me has been it's okay-ish, if that makes sense. There are huge holes in it so far, unfortunately.
Yeah, I understand your thoughts on that. I mean, the thing is, for me, I am a bit disappointed with the lack of answers with regards to The Rock, but I'm guessing and I'm hoping something happens at WrestleMania here. It would be very weird for it to happen and then nothing materializes further. But at the same time, like you said, there's probably answers to it, and when we'll find out those answers is probably going to be interesting to find out when we do. There's obviously a reason of perhaps people scheduling and stuff like that. Perhaps The Rock is not available for these shows at the moment, which makes things a bit difficult. But I mean, I do feel as well, and I said this on a previous stream, I actually think that the whole reason we got the European tour is because John Cena has been filming a film in Europe. I don't think he's been able to come to the States on like a weekly basis to do a Raw and then fly back again for filming. So I think that's one of the reasons we got the European tour to begin with. I would be surprised if we'll get it next year, but maybe we will. Maybe it's a complete success and WWE will consider doing that continually moving forward. But I think Cena's a big part of it. But yeah, when it comes to the build itself, the backwards and forwards with these two guys has been a lot of fun on the mic. I'm interested to see how it's going to play out. Obviously, these two will have one more face-to-face in Vegas as well on the final SmackDown. So the build is not finished where we are, which I think is really fun. If we go into some of the inner details, if you will, like the person that has the advantage so far going into WrestleMania is Cody Rhodes hitting the crossroads on John Cena. If that was the last thing to play out, does that mean John Cena is going to walk away as a 17th-time world champion? If he is going to break the record and have the most world titles, and here's the thing, Flair, John Cena's won 17 world titles in the same company. You haven't done that. Even if WWE owns all of it now, you haven't done that. So John Cena is breaking a record in its own self. But yeah, anyway, John Cena is advertised for pretty much every SmackDown moving forward. Is he winning the WWE Championship? There's certainly an argument that could be made there that he could be the one that's winning the championship, or the feud just may continue. For Cody, he's the poster boy of WWE. You'd think they'd want him on Netflix. So there is that argument you could move him over to Monday Night Raw. At the same time, I go back to things I listened to John Cena say, and this is something I just want to bring out there. John Cena has openly said, I am going to ruin wrestling. And he has openly said that he is someone that is back to win the world title, but he's here to not give the fans what they want. A lot of fans deep down want John Cena to win that 17th world title. They want him to do it at WrestleMania. To ruin wrestling and not give them what they want would be to lose at WrestleMania. And an interesting sentence he has said previously is, I will retire as world champion. Well, his retirement match, his last match, is in December. Is the journey going to continue? That's the big questions going into the match. All that information being thrown out and laid on the table. Jonesy, where do you stand?
So I had it one or two ways. I think Cody's basically the epitome of John Cena. He's basically what John Cena used to be. He's the golden boy, the golden goose, the man that never loses. For me, my original prediction was I think Cody will retain, but I think if WWE want to really shock things and elevate it, Cena basically gets the win. We need drama here. The Rock is going to be at WrestleMania. The Rock has to be at WrestleMania, and it's what they do with the storyline then basically explains the rest of the year, so to speak. For me, though, I think Cody to win. And I think potentially if they can't get The Rock for the rest of the year, which is what might be the case, the Rock will come out. Cena will basically lose to Cody, and then The Rock will attack Cena, and then that'll be that whole heel turn done. I think basically, I think that's the way sort of Cena then goes back to being a babyface. I think it's quite a lot going in one match, so to speak, but I just can't see Cody losing here as much as I want Cena to win the world title. This is a stage of Cena to win the world title as well, but Cody doesn't lose, and I think Cena really isn't the one to get the win unless there's interference and hijinks. This is maybe where you get the third man, but there hasn't really been any talk of the third man on TV, which is, I don't know whether that's deliberately underlined. The other theory I do have, which I'm on it as well, is it looks like that Cody is going to lose, and then the glass breaks and Stone Cold comes out. I still think that Steve Austin may appear in this main event in some capacity. That's a long shot for me that I'd throw out there now, really.
I think he's advertised to be a part of the WWE world, so you could be very much onto something there with Stone Cold Steve Austin being a part of this.
The only reason why I would say Austin wouldn't be in it is because it's exactly the same as what they did last year, and it's kind of copy and paste and repeat, which is why I don't think they'll do that. Look, for me personally, this is the hardest one because there's so many variables. It's a case of, look, does Cena win it? If he does he retire at the end of the year? Do they convince him to go 4 more months and push it back to Mania next year, which I think honestly they could do? Who ends their career in December for WWE when there's not even a major show on? I think there's a swerve. I think Cena's going to be pushed back to Mania. I don't think Cena wins here. I think Cody wins. I believe that there's other things like if Cody wins, there's an opportunity to put Cena into the Money in the Bank ladder match. There's just other variables that can be more there, and I think there's a point where Cena's going to get where he's going to get to the point where he's desperate, and then we've talked before about how he realizes it's the fans that have helped him win those other titles, and he needs the fans back on his side to win that title again. So for me, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to say Cody Rhodes retains. And I think that Cena will pick up this title somewhere along the road to WrestleMania next year.
Interesting, especially the fact with the extension. I like the idea of that. The fact we could just get Cena in New Orleans.
Do you see? Sorry to interrupt, Steve. Do you see any hijinks after the match then to carry on the whole drama and storyline that they built, or do you think this is one and done? This is the sort of end of the road, so to speak.
It's WrestleMania. They won't do that on the WrestleMania main event. The only thing else I would suggest is that John Cena could possibly go after Jey Uso after. Depends on the draft as well. How soon they do the draft. If Jey wins the world championship, does he go to SmackDown? Does John Cena challenge Jey? There's so many variables to play in it. It's the hardest one to call because we have no definitive answer on what's going on afterwards. But no, it's WrestleMania main event. I can't see any hijinks after the main event.
Will be interesting. I feel in my head like I so get WrestleMania 18 in my head. You know, Rock was the current guy and Hogan was the old school guy. And just in that match on that night, everyone cheered for Hogan and everyone booed The Rock. And I still have this feeling in Vegas, even though I've done all this work for Cena's heel Cena, that there will be it's that one show of the year where everyone's traveled from around the world. Everyone really deep down wants Cena to win that 17th world title. That we could see Cody getting booed and Cena actually being the one being cheered here. It makes the most sense in the world.
I would just add to that. That's what everyone wants to happen. Everyone wants Cena to win. And what did Triple H say? On the dirt sheets in the build, this is a WrestleMania that is not there to please the fans, apparently. So Cody winning is not what the fans want to see.
That makes a very good point. And I think you could be onto something. Look, we went around and I did say before, I think the shorts on TikTok, what you said, everything there, like it's ruin wrestling, not give the fans what they want. It makes sense for me that Cena loses. I love what you said there about, like, what does he go next, the desperation, and the fact that he could turn to Jey Uso as well, I think, because Jey Uso won the Rumble. That's a good way to go around it. Like, you pushed me out of the Rumble, but you didn't beat me. Like, I could beat you for a world title. I love that idea that there could be a follow-on as well. So there's a lot of things you can do with it. I will say that I think Cody's going to win, because that was my prediction a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to stick with it. Closer it gets to Mania, the harder it gets to predict it and be concrete with it. But I'm going to stick with Cody. But a part of me does also sort of think, like, what if Cena won the world title and then he took on Randy Orton at Backlash in St. Louis? There's just that part of me that thinks that could happen as well. But either way, perhaps maybe we get Orton versus Cena anyway.
I was going to say that leads to my Orton winning, because he then comes out to challenge Cody and challenges Cody at Backlash for the world title, and we get heel Randy again.
Love it. I would really love it. Just to say quickly, it's gone. It's gone, actually. My mind's
gone.
You
you see your third man at all, Steve, or The Rock in this match as well at all?
That was the question I wanted to ask before my mind went blank. I would like to think it's teased. Look, we started with it. We need to end with it. Like, Travis Scott's obviously one of the theme songs of WrestleMania as well. No, The Weeknd is the official one. So I'd like to see Travis Scott there. I'd like to see him get a receipt. I don't want to just see the WWE 2K25 video game. Also, like, I think that The Rock involvement, he's got to be at WrestleMania in some way. It would be fun to see The Rock be the one that makes the mistake of some description. Do you know what I mean? Like something that could help Cody win. But at the same time, Cena's done all this to turn heel. I still think it's the fans that gets him where he is, but I still think it'd be more interesting to see Cena as a heel with the World Championship as well, because we haven't seen that. We've seen babyface John as champion 16 times before. So there's lots of different ways and avenues they can go about it. But yeah, I'm sticking with Cody. I'm going to say The Rock will be there. I'd like there to be a third man. As much as we talked about Seth earlier, we said we'd come back to it. Jey Uso does make the more sense of it, because The Rock said, my champion. If Cena doesn't win, well, then Jey Uso is his champion. It's also part of family. It's part of the bloodline. It's someone who's had issues with Roman Reigns in the past. Like you say, a big shocking heel turn people don't see coming. Jey Uso pushed John Cena out of the Rumble. I mean, what if it was all part of a ruse the whole time? There's so many ways you could go about it.
I think that'd be great. I think the way to do that, if you're going to do it, is he comes out, he arguably costs Cena, and then you really got, here's my real soul champion, Jey Uso, and I guess that's a great way then to end the show, so to speak. But it's all down to if they want to send the fans home happy or not, really. Which I think for me, the big reveal of a second man, Cena, was huge. I just don't know really how you top that, unless it's obviously going to be a baby face. That third man will be a baby face, and it won't be a heel. I don't think they're going to heel out, because it doesn't have that shock reaction, so to speak.
No, Drew would be fantastic just because of it being Drew. Drew is awesome, but they're starting to dwindle down the names now. It doesn't seem as likely as perhaps what it did before. NXT, anything you want to add before we start to wrap things up?
No, by all means, you guys have pretty much summed it all up. There's so many ways it can go. It's just going to be fun to actually find out what they do and how they pull the trigger on whatever they plan on doing.
Absolutely. Alan says that Becky Lynch is the third man. I mean, she's the man after all. Good work. I would not be against seeing a female being in the role, by the way. Denver in the house. Thank you, Denver, for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us. Let us know your Cena versus Cody prediction, please. We'd love to know. But for everyone that's been watching, thank you so much. Please hit the like button, share with a friend, subscribe as well. All that good stuff. Big thank you to Jonesy and to NXT as well for their predictions. Is there anything you'd like to add, NXT, before we wrap up here today?
By all means, check out your greatest luchador wrestler at WrestleMania this weekend, El Grande Americano, soon to be World Heavyweight Champion. Mark my word, you heard it here first.
Absolutely. Jonesy, anything you'd like to add before we wrap up today?
Yeah, I just hope everyone enjoys the show when they watch it. I hope it's what everyone hopes, and I hope it'll be a really good show, which we'll have a lot to talk about down the line.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a big weekend. It's the biggest of the year. We hope you all enjoy it. Paul has got one final question for us. I think we can answer this with a yes or a no. Paul asking, would you like to see Goldberg versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania 41 for Goldberg's retirement match? Not for me. I know I understand the appeal for it, but I would need more build than one night before WrestleMania.
Goldberg versus Gunther at SummerSlam for me.
Yeah.
Just no more Goldberg matches, please.
We'll get one, but not in Vegas. I don't think it's in Vegas. Guys, girls, thank you all for watching. Look after yourselves and each other. And for those that are a fan of NXT, don't worry, we will have stand and deliver predictions coming to the channel over the next 24 hours. So make sure to keep an eye out for those. If you've missed anything on the WrestleMania predictions, rewind to the start of the video. And yes, for those that are watching on delay, thank you so much. You've been with us for 2 hours, but hopefully we've got you hyped for WrestleMania, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you as well. We'll try and get a review out for you at some point next week as well. Take care, look after yourselves and each other. We'll see you for the next one.